you a better player. Or keep, I need to change how I say that. It helps keep you more informed as a player and make you maybe even a better player. How about that? Whether you're a Sproutling or you're farming Savage. So last week, I was thinking of doing a World First show or a PvP show this week, but those shows definitely got pushed back due to other reasons. And so I figured this week, we talked about it kind of on MogTalk 50 a bit too, and actually I've talked about this with almost the majority of our guests that have come on the show, about actually doing a show where we take videos and then we go through and we critique everything. And we say, hey, this is how this fight's going. This is where people are messing up. This is where it could be improved. And tonight we're also going to talk about other things like design of the fights and everything. So welcome to our first cluster F of a show with video critique. Hope you guys enjoy it. So today we're bringing back both of our guests from last week. So gracious to get on this show again, to kind of help with this concept. While creating the show, I did it in a really, really short time span, but I was actually thinking the guest setup we had last week would work really well with this as well, because we have the different tiers of people who play the game. We have me, super scrubs casual guy, right? And then we have midcore player Ark, and then we have hardcore world first kind of progression.
Up there.
Yeah. Balana. And so we have three different tiers of types of players who play this game. We're missing the super scrub that doesn't go into Savage, but, they don't really care about Savage, right? And then we're missing the people who did World First, which they'll come on in the future and talk about everything else. But this is the main... We make up our mindsets and the way we play the game, I think, make up the majority of the people who are actually in the game playing. Balana, you're kind of like on the 1%er side, to be honest with you.
I'm trying to get up there. I want to quite consider myself up there right now, but we try our best.
5%ers.
5%er, baby. Well, in our 10 to 20%ers, we have Ark, representing the mid-core range of players. Bringing you back again is actually a very good pleasure. Welcome back, man.
Always a pleasure for me too.
Yeah, and then. Representing, of course, again, our hardcore players, we're bringing back Balana, Yo Jobo. Did I do it right?
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good with that.
You got it.
And, of course, both of you guys, I really appreciate you coming in on very short notice. This show was put together yesterday. It was kind of a concept where I was thinking, all right, well, what can I do for tomorrow if I'm not going to do World First or PvP? Let's just screw it. You know what? We'll figure this out. And we figured out how to do a video an hour before the show happened.
Yeah, we pieced that together. We tried a few options. We got something that works. So hopefully the wheels don't fall off the middle of this.
They might. Yeah. And I hope you guys bear with us as we're trying to go through this first concept here. And the people who are just listening to the audio, you're going to miss out on a little bit of the video. But I think that if you understand the fights, you're going to probably see a lot more or hear a lot more, not see anything. But you'll hear a lot of what we're talking about. Maybe you'll be able to relate to it. So, again, today we're trying our hand at the fight and videos and critiquing. I don't know if it'll go horribly, if it'll go bad, but it'll be fun either way that we do it. There's a chance, depending on how much time we have, that we might actually critique a viewer video. And so, if anyone's watching this, and Kerr, as people kind of trickle in, just maybe remind them as well. And by the way, that's not the most recent MogTalk there. It's on the corner with Moobot. He just saw my last A5 kill that I uploaded. But if you guys want to post a video about like a kill you did or a fight that you did and you needed a recent content, give us a YouTube video of it. And then Kerr will collect these videos throughout the show. And then if we have one at the end of the show that someone wants us to go over, we'll try going over that as well. And then we'll discuss. And just be aware, it needs to be your own video. Don't give us someone's video that you want to have just bashed into the ground because you think they're really bad or something. It should also be a video that you're willing to accept that we might say things that might make you feel bad about your play style. And it also has to be another thing that you're okay with us being incorrect and giving you bad advice on.
Oh, yeah, there's going to be plenty of that.
Yeah, lots of that. And so we're going to be doing that a lot today. We're going to be giving away lots of information that you guys might not like, and you guys please feel free to discuss it with us, because sometimes we might be wrong if something's physical or magical damage, because you don't actually, honestly, you don't really need to know a lot of that information to clear the fights. It's just to be optimal in those fights. It's nice, and we'll see how optimal we can make you guys by the end of the show. So to start it all off, of course, and one more question. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, I'll stop. So I was doing a lot of thought process there. Kerr, you're right. I'm doing too many uhs. I should just be quiet. Okay. Here we go. So,
It's gonna haunt you this whole show now.
It's gonna get me the whole show now. I'm usually pretty good about it.
She's trolling you.
She's trying to troll me, but the best dedicated mod I have for this entire show is trolling me right now. Mm-hmm. So, I'm doing it. Okay.
There you go.
There you go.
You did it.
So far during this tier, to start off the conversation, how does this tier compare to the other tiers that you guys have gone through so far? You guys have gone through a lot of different tiers, right? Like serious, yeah. Go in this game. So you've been all of them. You've been through all of them. Ark, you've been through all the tiers.
Yep.
Yeah, and so going through this tier right now, how is it comparing to your experiences going through the other tiers? And Balana, I'll start with you if that's all right.
I like a good quote. I think this is from some rando on Reddit. So the lead designer of this tier came up to Yoshida, and he's like, Yoshi P, Mr. Yoshida, Yoshida Sensei, Yoshida-san, whatever they call him. What mechanic should I put in this fight? And Yoshida just says yes. Yeah.
I saw that comment. And a lot of people have been quoting that actually coming to the stream, because A6S is ridiculous from what I've seen.
Every fight just has more mechanics than any other fight beforehand.
Well, yeah.
And A8 has them all coming out at the same time, which makes it really fun. Mm-hmm. But it's less focused on individual performance, individual DPS, and it's just pure execution.
Yeah,
which is awesome. I love it. There's not really too many gear walls getting thrown at you. It's just learning to do 6 or 7 different dances all at the same time.
How are you doing on A8S progression, by the way, Balana? Where are you guys at?
We are just through the first intermission.
Okay.
So we're not getting as much time as I would like. Schedules are getting a little bit crazy because people are catching up with real life's getting back to them from taking that week off. Right. But I mean, we're getting in there. We're getting the work done. We'll get it down eventually.
Okay. And Ark, you guys are almost at A8, correct?
Yeah, very close at this point. Yeah.
All right. And how close was your most recent attempt on the kill?
A7S?
Yeah.
Well, getting to the final phase without any stacks is always very significant, and we've done that a couple times as well with DPS ahead. So it's really just a matter of doing the last jail phase, which isn't too bad at all. We all know how to do it. We just kind of make some little small errors around jail mechanics that we've dealt with in the first phase before, right? So very, very close at this point. We've had a couple of very close pulls. So it's just any time now. We're using our potions and our resources as if any pull is potential kill. So that's how close. Might not be this week because we lost a raid day. If we have a bad, it's all about focus, right? We're talking about execution, right? Especially on a fight that has RNG, a lot of RNG. It's all about that being very focused and executing the making good use of your good pulls. And so yeah, there's a chance that even in another 3-hour raid that we might just not be totally focused for it or not. But once it happens, it's gonna happen.
I understand that. I really do. Starting out, because we raid 2 serious raid days, and then we throw a Sunday in there every once in a while for 3 hours each day. And so we come back in Wednesday, and it's really catching up and refocusing. That's our catch-up refocus day. Yeah. Friday's our try-to-clear day almost. And which we actually went through last night, that whole process, and it was actually a very exciting clear. That was one of those times where you clear at the very last attempt, and everyone's really happy at the end of the night, right?
Yeah.
So Ark, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, I was just gonna say it's just how I always gauge it is I get to a point where I know everyone knows all the mechanics and our DPS is on track and stuff like that, where I'm at a point where I felt like we've already kind of killed it, and then so I don't necessarily always cheer at the end when we kill the fight and stuff like this, because it's like at that point that's when I'm super excited, because it's like I don't have to do any more research on this fight anymore. Like it's just a matter of us like not panicking at the end on like the simple mechanics that we've done before and we know for sure. So it's like that. So we're at that point now, and that's why like I feel like I'm very comfortable doing those polls and stuff like that now, and I'm like ready for the next fight kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when we were progressing through A7, we had to get a few good looks at that last phase. Like, people
Yeah.
would get into it and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we're gonna kill it!" And they start panicking a little bit and they run
Yep.
around and 3 people
It's
get
like,
grabbed
but
and
it's
thrown into the
we've
quarantine.
done jails before, guys. We saw
Yeah.
there's 2 more phases with jails. It's not
Right.
that different.
Yeah.
It's just a mentality thing, and then, once you get through it, then that block's just like completely gone.
Yep,
Like,
yep. It's
I
the
think
same thing happened with Vortexer too. Right? We know we had the strategy all set up. It's just like, like it's just pretty much focusing on the mechanics, and it's like being ahead on the DPS is nice, because then when you get to those phases that you haven't done in a while, you can
Right.
kind of just like sit back and focus on the mechanics and let your DPS fall a little bit behind. You'll see that in our Vortexer kill later today, where like I don't even have Huton on for a while.
So I'm actually kind of curious, if you had to compare and say the beginning of Savage so far towards your experience with the beginning of other Savages, does this one hold up really well compared to the other ones? I mean, we can't really rate the last one, all right? So the last one we have to just scrub off, except for A3S, right? A3S was the highlight of it. A2 kind of nobody liked that much.
Summoners liked it.
Summoners loved it, of course. Balana would.
I mean, I always say I like the last tier for what it gave. Like it was also it gets a bad rep because it was also like it was a very hard tier for people getting used to level 60, and I always say that people were getting used to level 60 still. So there was a very huge focus on individual skill when most people were really bad at individual skill at that point, because 60 was very new to them and there was not very guides and they were still being figured out. So it was probably the wrong tier to put first, but I would as a last tier, if it was similar to that, it wouldn't be so bad. One that's a little bit more focused on individual skill right at the end of the tier when most people know their classes really well. Final Coil was a little bit like that, but it was still kind of loose for DPS checks. But
Right. And so with
Yeah.
Final Coil, when we went
Yeah.
into that, that whole experience was actually pretty exciting to go through that first fight, and then you have to deal with all the little different mechanics. And if you got through that first fight, the second fight was still a new fight. Like, it felt like I was going into a whole different fight. It was exciting to do that one. And you got into the third fight, still, it was a great, like, new experience with that fight. Like, I didn't feel like I was doing anything that was redundant or boring or anything like that. Are you guys having that same kind of experience with this tier of Savage, or is it completely repetitive?
There isn't too many recycled mechanics. They did a good job of introducing a lot of new things to keep it fresh, to keep it interesting. I mean, you'll still see like similar markers from before. It's like, oh, I see this marker again, like the big arrow from Thoradin Extreme. It's like, oh, we need to stack for
Right.
this. I mean, you see
Yeah.
little things like that here and there. They basically took back what are they called? The mines and the missiles from A8 Savage,
Yeah.
make an appearance in A6. So I mean, they shuffle in a bunch of old stuff, but they keep it different enough to keep it fresh.
Okay. So this
I
has
actually
been...
kinda-
Go ahead.
And just to talk about how they were using some of the markers for like, this is when you should stack up, and means like something's gonna hit you from the sky or something like that. I kind of been in like the meteor icons or dive bomb. I kind of been liking that they've been reusing the mechanics aren't exactly the same, but they're kind of how you react to them are about the same. Like stack up for this, spread out for this is usually kind of. I've actually kind of liked how they were using the icons for that to kind of train people to like, because like in WoW it was DBM would use like the same sound effects or the same markers for
Run
when
away,
you do
little
that kind of
girl.
stuff. Anyway,
Run
so
away.
they're building it right
Yeah.
into the game. They run away. Yeah.
Oh gosh, I can't
And
tell
think
you how
that's
much
kind
I
of,
hate
like,
that.
If they basically make it, as long as it's not like the main, it's like those are like the side dish mechanics, right? So they can add in a lot of mechanics and put in those side dish mechanics for like more veteran players to like pick up very quickly. And then they put in some new mechanics on top of it. So it's like, oh, stack up mechanic without like, we know this is the stack up mechanic, and it's like, oh, that stack up mechanic hits really hard, and then there's this new mechanic around it that we have to deal with. Like, I guess kind of like how the praise work, on A5S, right? There's the stack up mechanic and then the praise, right?
I like that
kinda
phrase though.
liking that a lot.
Side dish mechanics.
Yeah, side
Side
dish.
dish mechanics, yeah, and then there's the main course mechanics for the
Oh,
boss
okay.
fight.
Man, I honestly, before we get into A5, I am really impressed with how easy it was after you complete it. Like, it felt like the easiest fight that we could have done at the very end of it. there was nothing really too crazy about it besides just learning how every single mechanic works. I didn't go full force at all when we cleared it. A3S, I did everything I could to make sure we cleared that fight. I pushed myself really hard on that. I guess that might also be a difference in my experience with DPSing and healing. Healing is a little bit more working with the situation, and DPS, you're just pushing as hard as you can. Like, there's something on FF logs that they put on there at one point where you see what percentage of time you are actually doing actions, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm at 97% on a machinist. I'm like at the very top. Oh, yeah. But with a scholar, I'm probably at like 10%. I don't know.
Yeah, hanging out most of the time. Just letting Celine handle things.
Celine's doing her thing, and I'm trying to figure out where. And I'm a very conservative healer. I heal if I'm 100% sure. I know for a fact I'm not going to be needed for any healing, and I kind of switch back and forth. And that makes me not a top tier elite player. That makes me a let's get to the point to where we hit the wall, then I'll figure out how we get past the wall.
Yeah, and that's kind of a good theme for this whole tier. I can't speak too much about brute justice yet at this point. I'm assuming that's a different story, but maybe with gear, this statement is also true. Is that you really do want to focus on fixing the weaknesses of your group by using your utility to make sure that you just get through those mechanics, and you're almost always going to be getting your kills. Like, you should very, very much be focused on those kills, because even if you're trying to optimize and get your DPS really high, there's still a lot of coordination along those sides, because usually you're trying to optimize like individual members, and they have to kind of make use of it properly at this tier. For example, like AoE phases in the fight, most of the AoE phases, you almost only need like a couple of your players at AoE and stuff like that. If you can kind of, if you're really coordinated, you could say, okay, the best AoEers do it because it's really comfortable for it, and then we can have our other DPS. Their meters won't look so good, but like they don't really need to be AoE in here. It's just extra damage, and our good AoEers are doing it really fine. There's a lot of examples of that in A6S and even in A5S too. So like it's just a matter of like just focusing on what gets you the kill will get you the kill, which feels a lot like Second Coil, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can hear Doom Train in the background. Mm-hmm. Okay, good. Sometimes it comes by and it's really noisy. But the other thing with A5S, and I'm going to go ahead and switch over. We're going to switch over to the video here. You guys can see our little thrown together format. And so we're going to be looking at videos and kind of stopping and starting the video and everything else. I'm going to move this over here so I can see this a little bit better.
Guinea pig hour time here. Let's go.
This is where we're experimenting. And so first we're going to look at ShamanArkk's video. Was this when you first killed it?
This is our second kill. Our first kill had a few too many mistakes. Like, this is their best one to show. It still has mistakes in it.
Right.
But it was actually pretty well executed overall. But okay. Yeah, I'm gonna try this is like an amateur kill video kind of thing here, and so what I'll be trying to do is obviously point out mistakes too. So like, do not do this.
So look, what I'm gonna do. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go through this, and we're gonna talk about each mechanic as it comes up.
Sure.
And then if you do something really stupid, we'll make fun of you for doing something really stupid.
No, it's not just me. It's also just like when we do like a bad strategy or something like that, or you see a ninja go and do the gorilla.
Well, the first thing I want to actually talk about here is before the fight actually happens. When we get into Faust and Hummelfaust, that DPS check is pretty insane.
It's the hardest DPS check in this tier.
Yeah, and so what I'm really curious about with how ridiculous that situation is, because when you go into it, there's no way that DPS check applies to the fight.
What? I mean, if you could do that, then you have the DPS basically.
No way that you can. Yeah, it's really hard for you to hit enrage unless you make like everyone wipes. Then maybe you might hit the enrage. It's such like we barely cleared it. Like when we actually went in for his last attempt, we killed Hummelfaust as the wipe mechanic was happening. You saw the animation explode around it, but no one died. And so we went into this and we made lots of mistakes and we still cleared it.
Yeah, like the first time my team killed Hummelfaust in 210 gear, we all died. we all died, but he died too. So it was technically a win. We marked it as a win in the book.
We were in all 220 gear, 220 weapons, and everything else, which was crazy to me to think about. Even 230 chest piece, right? But that's me. So
yeah, the fight's really forgiving on DPS at least. And 2 hours before our original kill, actually, we had the pole that should have been the kill, but the bard DC'd like a minute with a minute left in the fight, and we had one of our melees drop like a puddle right on the boss and killed somebody with that.
Nice.
So, and we still got him to like 10k. He did his enrage mechanic at 10k with somebody DC'd and some deaths. Like, so the DPS in this entire tier is pretty forgiving, except for Homofaust.
We had a pull, our third pull on the boss fight. We got him down to 3%, and I thought it was a wipe at like 15. And that's about the point where I realized that there's not much that actually will wipe you on this fight, and you should keep an attempt going because you'll probably still kill it. Because I wasn't trying enough, and we wiped at 3%. And I was like, if I just tried a little bit harder on that attempt that I thought was a wipe, which is our third pull, so I didn't know what was going to happen, right?
Right.
So
like, start the video, by the way. I'm just going through the first little part of it, though. Keep going, Ark. Sorry.
Oh, sure. Well, the video's gonna as we get in the poll. I might as well just. You want me to comment on the video now?
Well, I want to go through this, and I want to just talk about. First off, why do you have the triangle here?
Oh, that's always my stack up mechanic. If it's so the triangle's on my head so that when the bombs are occurring, I'm kind of really studied up on how to know where the safe spots are. So people just move to triangle. Okay, so you're just like, guys, I'm the safe spot. I know what I'm doing. Yeah, and I've made my mistakes, and other people have really picked it up at this point and sometimes called it out faster than I have. But when we were really early in the fight, I was basically, that's one thing about this fight is that you like, if one person knows the bombs, you can kind of carry everyone else's knowledge on that mechanic and get the kill really early. And of course, it's nice. Everyone should learn and understand the bombs, but they don't necessarily have to as long as you have one person coordinating it. Of course, then it sucks when they make a mistake, which can happen. Like, I've definitely screwed up bombs once or twice, but I mean, it's not like, it's a good recommendation if you have people struggling with it at all. What about the no sign? Is that just like saying this is a tank? I don't remember why we had a no sign on Lucky. Did you not like him? Okay. I don't know why that's there, to be honest. I can't remember. And the cool thing that I see here, and you were talking about this earlier, is that you guys are actually pulling from the front. You're not off on the side pulling. We stopped doing that now because I didn't realize you could aggro. You didn't have an issue with aggro from the back. Our bird still stands far away because of foes, but yeah, you just have to be careful with the purple. Doesn't spawn in the middle right away, so it's not so bad. Yeah. And then you have them, of course, pulling it over to the side, and you see shadow flares kind of We're planning to skip praise because we want them by A. Yeah, and if you're a summoner or a scholar, you can put a shadow flare down before the fight happens and get a little bit of extra DPS off just by throwing it down there. And he's not going to aggro on you, and you guys need to know that. And Balana, I learned that last night, to be honest with you. I didn't know that you could put a shadow. I'm learning a lot as a scholar, so you gotta forgive me. I'm learning scholar. So
cast shadow flare. Cast it at 6 seconds left on the countdown.
As long as it doesn't touch the boss, it's okay. Well, see, the thing is, I cast it at 10 seconds or so, and then I'm casting Bio too at 5 seconds, and then I'm pulling 2 seconds early. So
you gotta adjust to how your team pulls.
The opportunity to describe how terrible it is to pull early or pull late, because it almost makes it's pretty bad when you do that. If you pull early, everyone's 2 seconds behind. And
here's the thing: our group understands the tank is pulling 2 seconds early, so we are all going for 2 seconds early. But you should watch your tank because you're gonna have there's gonna be like a 1 second of error. So you start precasting and then kind of like cancel and precasting. Yeah. So, okay. This mechanic, I want to highlight this mechanic too.
Yeah, sure.
He explodes, right? He turns into a different model. Yeah. And then you have to retarget him. So how in the game does that mechanic design work where you have to completely change the boss to do that? Can you think of a way that makes sense within the programming and the design of the fight?
I've already got my complaints out about it from Ravana, because Ravana was a billion times more worse than this.
Balana, what do you think?
I think it's a limitation because they're changing the size of his hitbox. Like, you can see actually on that freeze frame you had. Well, now you see it now. His hitbox is like 3 to 4 times bigger. It completely expands, and I don't think they have a mechanic to do that, to change your hitbox on a persistent model.
Well, I mean, then you take that same theory to Ravana.
Yeah, I don't get.
I don't know what. Oh, because Ravana's a different model. He pulls
He's a
out the
different model.
swords.
Yeah, you have to retarget him
Okay.
every single time.
So
Oh,
the
does his
boss,
hitbox change? I don't know.
yeah, and that's weird that the boss would change because the boss model happens. That the target circle happens. I guess that's why you can't change equipment while you're in a fight. I don't know. You just can't change your glamour while you're in the middle of a fight. Maybe.
I'm not too sure why they have to do the you lose the target. To be honest,
Yeah.
I don't really have a good reason for it because like the hitbox changing would be my best guess, but Ravana doesn't unless they do change Ravana's hitbox, which I don't
Well,
think they
change.
do.
I guess that's just have to handle model swaps.
Yeah.
Yeah,
between-
it's definitely a model swap, right? Like that was just an animation of him transforming, and then they swap the model over, right?
Right.
I don't. Maybe that's just not like that's just their system is just not really good for that. But
And do you
Yep.
do you spam like your tab button?
yep, I spam tabs so that I try not to miss a GCD. I don't know if I'm about to miss one or not here. Cool fact though. It's one thing that's kind of nice about this is that you're doing full damage to him until you lose your target. So at least
That's
you
right.
know up to that point you can snapshot dots and do damage to him. And then when you lose your target, that's when he's taking 25% less damage.
Right, and you want to get as much. You want to pop all your cooldowns and everything at the beginning because this phase is going to last a little while, and your cooldowns will be kind of
Yeah, I mean,
a little bit
that's
more back by the
it's
end of it,
debatable
right?
fact, I'm on the side of using for at least my class, I would use all my cooldowns. I don't know if anyone has a specific reason not to, but if you can push him out of the large phase faster and skip the prey, you get him smaller quicker. And that's my logic behind it is that if you get the prey, he's going to stay larger and take 25% less damage for much longer.
Right.
So pop your cooldowns to skip that prey is definitely my
Is this
opinion.
in Rage? And Balana, maybe you noticed, is this in Rage set by a time? Or
It's
is
a time.
it so it's not like a phase? Like when he
Well,
transitions from
actually-
phase to phase, like at the very end, does the phase happen? Because I mean, if you take forever on this phase and say you take 20 seconds longer on this phase, does the enrage happen quicker or? Well, I mean,
well,
see, no
he's-
one gets to the enrage, so it's hard to kind of.
There's
I
a
have-
set amount of time that he's going to be large in this part, which you can shorten by reducing his health below a certain threshold, and then you can skip mechanics like that. I actually haven't seen in Rage since we started skipping mechanics,
Never seen-
so I don't know if it's time based or just straight mechanic based.
Okay, Miyuni thinks.
I
it's,
haven't seen any
time.
enrages, but I assume that enrages are always time based. Like, though this fight
Yeah.
could be an exception because I've heard people say it's around 9 minutes ish that he casts something. And I'm like, what does that mean exactly? Why is it around 9 minutes?
Because we saw bombs fall down. We didn't see the enrage when we
Yeah,
cleared it,
yeah,
but you know.
yeah, you're right. Yeah, there's another bomb phase if you keep going, and then after that, I don't know what happens.
Yeah. Well,
I
I
assume
think
that
there's a
you're right.
wipe mechanic somewhere. I thought it was just shock therapy that he does.
So it's probably just like maybe that phase there he just does like an extra shock therapy if you're like get there faster or something like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
There's probably parts of the fight that get extended to make up for it, or
Okay.
yeah, he just you don't even get that bomb phase or something. Who knows?
All right. And so
This is
go ahead.
Yeah.
well, this is also a fun fight for summoner openers because you get to do a really stupid one. And
Yeah.
I learned I had to use quelling strikes for this, but basically what I was hitting him with is at 6 seconds left, you cast your Shadow Flare. 3 seconds, you start channeling Ruin 3. And then as soon as on the pole, you do Try Disaster Fester, Pain Flare, Energy Drain. It's like all together before he even transforms. You just want to like spike that damage into him. And you
Right.
contagion those
Good.
dots so they're full potency all the way through.
It's like a 3 second window, isn't it? It's like not.
It's about you can see on my DPS timer he lost target around like
Yeah.
4 seconds or so, right?
It's about
Yeah,
5
so-
seconds. So you
Okay.
actually have, if you with the pre-pull, you have enough time to manually apply your dots, but you also want to get rid of all your stacks right away because if you're not pushing this, it's about a minute until he's back in. So you'd be losing an eighth or flow if you didn't just like throw all your stacks out
Awesome.
right there.
It's really good advice for summoners.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I'm gonna continue a little bit more here. Did you probably missed a proc? I'm just gonna say you did. All right. And so you guys are sitting here. You pull them, and then everything starts to pop up in the middle, and everyone has to avoid the middle.
Yeah, so
Um,
you can see that the main tank is taking the blunt resistance down stacks.
Mhm.
Once he hits 4 of those, he'll get concussion. I think it's
Right.
just called
And so
concussion.
I kind of actually want to talk about. Do you guys, Balana? Do you pull them to this corner too, or do you guys pull them to like a different corner?
We pull him to the left corner, but it doesn't matter. Same difference.
We pull it
basically
to a
same thing.
corner where a cobra spawns. So you can pull it to. So when you say left corner, do you mean like where not where a cobra spawns?
We start where the Cobra doesn't spawn because we're used to getting a charge there, and you have him charge to where the Cobra spawns, and he's in position
gotcha,
for the next
I see.
phase.
I see.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, we're planning. So yeah, if we do get prey, we would have had the prey move to where the Cobra spawns, but at this point we weren't getting any preys anymore, so we just decided to tank them where, like, instead of moving the boss, we just tank him where we want him to be. We want him to be beside a Cobra, so one tank can pick up the Cobra, and the other tank can go over and grab the other one.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
And Hydro actually wants to know why your warrior starts the fight. Does he main tank? Does your warrior main tank?
Just how their tank swaps worked out. I'm trying to. I don't know if I actually had I was really making the decision there about that or not. It just it manages to get him. I don't know if we really worked out our tank stuff too much because originally I preferred that our warrior was doing the Yorn Pigs phase, but somehow we managed to make it so our Pally was doing the Yorn Pig phase. So
okay.
I mean that's a little bit less damage because he's got the shield blocks, but it's less damage. Oh, I guess we limit break though, so it doesn't really matter. That's just padding meters now that I think about it.
Okay, I gotcha.
So yeah, so if it comes to me, I'll let you know. But yeah, I'm not too sure. I don't think it mattered that much.
Okay.
So yeah, so the tank got concussion. The main tank got concussion, and then after that, the next mechanic he does is going to be a.
It looks like he's winding up, right?
Mechanic or the Gob Straight. So it's Gob Cut or Gob Straight.
Mm-hmm.
The Gob Straight is just a single target tank buster that knocks the tank backwards. So that's why we have him by a wall. You can see our Pally got hit by it and did a provoke after the concussion occurred.
I didn't even know it actually knocked the guy's back.
Yeah,
to be honest with you.
That's why you kind of want to have your back to a wall and not move the boss all over the place.
Balana, did you know it knocks the tanks back?
I actually did not know that, but we always had him in the corner.
Yeah, you're just like, I guess that's why.
Oh, wait, no, I've been hit by that and it knocked me back, so I guess I knew that somewhere.
Yeah. From normal mode is where we kind of pick that up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Right.
It's nice to have him in corners, right? So then that happens, and then because we got him below 90%, we skipped a prey. Maybe I should just explain. Well, I'll explain the prey later.
Well, let's go through this a little bit differently. Let me kind of go through this. Kind of my experience with it so far and my understanding of some of these fights and these mechanics.
You're helping me out here because it's a lot to explain all at once. So.
It's a lot to explain. So I'll kind of explain. I'll kind of give a quick explanation on some of this stuff. And so either he's going to do the thing where you have to group up, or he's going to do the thing where tank bust. Either way, the off tank has to provoke off. It doesn't matter, right? Mm-hmm. And so
if you've done what is it, T11 secondary head, same mechanic.
Yeah. Similar mechanic, yeah, exactly. Because the main tank, when he's concussioned, he'll get like one shot by any physical attack. So
yeah, and so you're moving. So the only thing the off tank has to do is provoke, then figure out, do I stand still or do I move to the party? And then once you have that figured out, it's a rotation. It goes back and forth, which is kind of nice. It's weird that they throw RNG in there at first, and they're like, now that you know, you can figure it out. I kind of want them to do RNG every single time, and then you just have to deal with it and figure it out. And that way it keeps the tank's attention a little bit better. I think putting in that mechanic, I guess, just makes it a little bit more structured for people who are first getting into the tier. I don't know. So he's starting small again, and then you guys want to bust out all the DPS that you can on him. And this, do you guys, by this time, are your cooldowns still on cooldown? I'm guessing they are, because it's only been like, 30 seconds into the fight?
You're going to embarrass me if you keep asking me DPS questions on this way.
Well, I know the timings because summoners just learn all the timings. Like, okay, I need line up my minute burst here, minute burst there. If you get the charge mechanic, if you don't push, then your 1 minute cooldowns will be up basically right when he's turning small. I only blew like 1 minute cooldowns generally, like at the start, and I'll save my 3 minute or like 2 minute, 3 minute cooldowns for when he's smaller.
So you guys always push prey? Like you never even had that as a question, Balana, in your groups?
Well, we did it in 210, so we were not pushing anything
on
our first kill.
I got you. So you're just saving it because you knew that mechanic was going to come up anyways, and there's no way for you guys to push past. Okay.
Yeah, my mindset going into it, which is, I guess, a little bit wrong now because you can push these things, it was just to try to save as much as possible for the higher damage phases, but with the ability to push these mechanics while he's big, it's better to just go full out all the time.
All right.
Yeah. When we were learning the fight and we weren't even waiting for cooldowns between pulls, we were consistently getting the prey every time, so we planned for it and we were pulling it to the other side. And it was also good because I kind of wanted people to see prey really early in the fight too, like right off the start.
So they understood how it worked.
How to do the shielding and how the distance worked and stuff like that.
It took me a while to get used to that, by the way, and figure out, hey, I need to be prepared. The prey, or put an Adlo on whoever gets prey. I was just doing a Succor on everyone, but sometimes they wouldn't make it all the way to the wall, or there wasn't enough shielding there, and the Succor just didn't hold tight. And so I had to add low every single time we did it. And I gotta tell you, there's a phase where you later in when we get to the video, and where you get prey twice on 2 targets, and you have to sit there and make sure you see who gets it first, add load them, then see the person who gets it second, then add load them like immediately. And I will do nothing, and you'll see me do it. I'll do nothing for 10 to 15 seconds. I'm just looking at the bar here, waiting for those prey icons to come up so I can make sure I get it.
It was your first kill. It's like, yeah, you always make fun of like I'm focused on this mechanic and I can't do anything else right now. It's like that's kind of what your early experience with fights are, and then all of a sudden you're able to do 50 things while that stuff's happening.
Right. And so
yeah, the first thing that happens when he shrinks down is you get those oozes. I can't remember.
Oh, you got these oozes right here. I see you got the ooze going over there and running.
Yeah, the little orange arrow. And we might have dropped these in some bad spots, but if we didn't, I'll. Yeah.
Well,
so the first one. So if you pause it here again.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The first one that drops will be gone before you basically need areas of this room. As long as you don't drop it on the group or like where the cobras spawn, it'll be gone by the time you kill before that you need to dispel your poisons.
I'm gonna be honest. I was upset at first when people were putting it over in the green area and
you can put the
monkey
first
area,
one in the
red
green
one.
area pretty safely, though you should still try to avoid it. The second one though is probably gonna still be up when you're doing your dispels.
The way that we timed it, it always worked out. They would both be gone no matter where they put them.
It depends on
just
your DPS. If
it's
your
close.
DPS is very high, then they'll both probably be up when you're doing dispels. But where we were sitting, the first one was always gone by the time we needed to dispel the cobra poison.
And this is going to happen twice, and then you just have to call out. I call it
so
splooge.
I get the other one. Where
I just
do
say
drop?
splooge is coming up. You guys got to go
so
look
I
at
like
it somewhere.
dropping it here because it only covers up half of the red, and I only need half of it to get in there.
And dropping it this close to the boss also gives you the ability to run back and do more DPS.
Yeah, as a melee, you can also drop it in the corner over by where I have A too. Is fine.
Yeah, that's where we typically drop ours.
In this case too, because
Since I have to do the mechanics as a scholar, I go to the other side of the arena and I drop it off, and I did not run back.
Yeah. And then again, like once you get more used to it, you might want to reduce your movement so you can get some more DPS in, right?
Gosh, yeah.
So I can't remember if I covered up too much of red here or not. I'll find out soon enough.
Nah, I think that looks okay. And then the cobras pop out here, okay? So when these cobras come out, you typically want to make sure that they are controlled and killed and stunned to minimize the people that have to run over and get the green. Although you can't. Sometimes we have like half the party get it because of how they're standing. When they shoot the poison at you, it's an AoE that's around the person, right?
That's right.
All right, and so here it's a good idea to spread out. So, because if you get hit by it, you have to move, and that's your loss of DPS, and you don't look as cool in the DPS meters. That's kind of what I've noticed, at least. And so, do you guys stun it, Balana? In your group, do you guys stun? Do you kill it? Say, hey, you guys kill this one as quickly as possible, and then stun the other one, or?
We have our melees take the one that spawns into the boss, and range get onto the other one. And basically, we're mostly just looking to stun. It'll come out and it'll cast an ability on itself that gives it a stack, and we just try to stun that. And typically, we only get like 1 or 2 stacks out on the party with that.
Okay.
And it's not too big of a deal to have to go hit the green puddle because we're tanking it right next to it. So.
Okay. And Ark, do you guys kind of do the same thing, ranged and?
Because of how the poison splash damage, I actually decided to move to the further one so that melee were not like too stacked up, and then you can see our range can easily be spread out at any way they want.
Yeah,
but I go over here so that I don't have to, so that me and the monk won't hit each other with it. Not really a big deal. Probably better to optimize damage around there because the poison's not the biggest thing, but. Like I was playing really safe around just to make sure there's no issues with mechanics. It's kind of like that's always my first way of playing, and then I go for DPS after, which is kind of a weird thing for DPS mentality, but it works for this. It works.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily work for hardcore, but it works for midcore.
Right, a midcore, which everybody's giving like BS comments in there. What's midcore? Guys, come on, guys. And so at this time, he's also doing shock therapies. And you're trying to kill these ads, stun them, so there's a limited amount of poisons. Do you guys even get poisoned? There you go. Here. Yeah, go ahead.
So you're stunning steel scales so that the cobras don't get a damage boost up. Mm-hmm. So you can stun them if you kill them fast enough, you can just stun them the whole time and kill them that way. But the thing that you really want to stop, and it's also a good way to generate limit break for that limit break 3, is if you stun steel skills, you get a little bit more limit break, and they don't get the damage up. So I would recommend that you actually go for the limit break boost by stunning steel skills.
Okay, so you're trying to get more
personally.
limit break by the stuns add into the limit break then, because you're just doing a couple extra attacks, right?
Interrupting the cast.
Okay, I got you.
Because we're often just like off of a limit break 3, and if we don't get those interrupts in, I noticed that we were sometimes behind on it.
Okay, I didn't know that built it up faster. Actually, to be honest with you, I didn't know that that was actually a thing.
See also original Ifrit hard mode. Yeah, built up the LB3 to break all those nails.
Yep.
By
There's a lot.
interrupting as a cast.
I mean, a little bit more knowledge about limit break. If you notice, you would have noticed this on T13 a lot, but if you put a shield up and it mitigates it's an attack that would have normally killed you, and you mitigate it, you get limit break from that as well. Stuff like that. There's a lot of ways, and crits, auto attack crits, crits in general from DPS. So like if you have your DPS dying a lot, especially the ones that have auto attacks, it generates really slow too.
Mm-hmm.
So like if your limit break's sometimes not quite there, it's probably from stuff like that. But I found these interrupts.
Also builds LB.
The sprints too?
That was a rumor, right?
Yeah.
That was a weird rumor because they thought that TP regeneration is what it was. So.
All right, so I'm seeing this also, and I'm totally taking charge of your video. I'm sorry, Ark.
No, that's fine. No, I'm cool with that. Totally.
So when we're going through this, you guys have a couple of poisons here, and then to get rid of them, you have to go to this little green section over here.
Yeah, once
that
the
you're next
cobras
to.
are dead. Once the cobras are dead, you go into spell because you don't want to do it before because you might get another one if you're
Now,
slow.
is this after? Where's your focus target at, Ark? Do you not focus target the boss man?
I don't think I might not have my
Come
focus
on.
target up on this attempt yet.
Come on, what are you doing?
He's on PS3. He can't focus target.
No.
Come on.
That's all PS3. That's a weird crossbar setup for your
Yeah,
PS3.
sorry, because that would be bad for seeing what abilities the boss is using when I'm not targeting it.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll
Sometimes
call
I
you out on
accidentally
that.
target twice and then I take it off and not notice for a bit.
I gotcha. I
hopefully
usually,
go back then.
and I'm gonna go back a little bit here, and I'm actually going to go back to this point. Let's see if it will. Let's see if I can go back actually a little bit more. What I'm trying to do is go back to the point when they activate, when you guys activate the stuff in the middle, the puddles everywhere, and so. There's a shock therapy that comes out, and you can usually see when the lightning all hits everywhere. You guys are doing it earlier than that, though, I think.
It's just like I said, it's based on when we kill the cobras, because that's when we get rid of the green.
Let's see if that shock therapy comes up or not, or if I'm absolutely insane. Okay, so this is what you guys are doing. You're activating it twice.
Yeah.
So we've found kind of in our group, I don't know why, but we do one activation. The activation for people to run in and clear stacks, and the other one, when that happens, you go and get the gorilla at the same time. Is there any benefit to doing that, or am I just insane?
No, there's potentially some benefit from like the not having to move as much. It's just that if you stand in there a long time, you're taking damage ticks constantly, and then the pool you might miscalculate how long you put the pools up for too, and then they fall off, and you'd have to go back in anyways. So we kind of at the moment do it as a kind of more of an ad hoc thing. It's like make it go to 5 whenever we need it. It's kind of what we do at the moment.
So
that's like 5 seconds about. And because I'm like the ninja doing the gorilla, I try to. I think on this attempt I was playing very cautiously because I'd screwed up the gorilla a couple of times before this. But normally I go in last second and grab it.
But you can't use sprint when you're in a gorilla, right? Or do you use
I
sprint?
just have the base movement speed. So.
Oh gosh, so that's another benefit to why scholars can do it, or casters and
They sprint beforehand.
Yeah, and so every time
it hasn't been a problem, but yeah.
it's so much more fun being the gorilla if you have sprint. I mean, you're like killing the fun factor by not sprinting to do it. And so
I would sprint to do it, but yeah.
yeah, and so and this is the part that you're talking about, ninja using the gorilla, right? And so
I saw this in a video before I did it. Like I saw the ninja doing it, and I just kind of did all the research ahead of time. So I just figured that we go in and I would do it a couple of times, and then once we had more experience with the fight and killed it a couple of times, that we just swapped to someone else doing it. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet, but I'm still kind of.
It doesn't matter because the DPS check doesn't really matter at this point. You guys are definitely passing it. Balana, do you guys have your healers do it?
We originally had me and the bard doing it. We had 2 gorillas.
Oh, really?
We weren't exactly sure how to handle it. And then I ended up like not doing it, and the bard was handling. I'm like, you got this, right, bard? He's like, yeah, I got this. So
Okay, I got
We end up just leaving it on him. Ideally, you kind of want your scholar to do it, just if you need that extra DPS. But because DPS hasn't really been an issue for us, we never really adapted to having the scholar do it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like my honest advice, especially if DPS isn't an issue, which it isn't for most groups doing this fight, I would say make your most experienced player who's available to do it. Like the one that'll consistently get through it, because you don't want to wipe from those gorilla mistakes.
Oh no, and I was throwing my keyboard last night because of that.
So whoever's most comfortable with that transformation and how like distracting it is, and like to like being able to like do your rotation or do your responsibility afterwards.
Right. So the reason I'm even bringing up the whole when you actually turn into a gorilla part is because it's part of the timing and being in place for the bombs. And I find as a scholar, if I sprint after the shock therapy, so basically shock therapy happens, I time it to where I do a succor, everyone gets shielded, everyone gets a little bit healed up, and then if I have poison, I spam lustrate on myself, I run into the regen, get the poison off me, then this is all while I'm sprinting, by the way. Then I run into the gorilla part, and this is after, and I want to explain how the puddles kind of come up too, and how you know how long the puddles are going to stay up, because where the limit break for a lot of bosses are at, the little meter here in the top corner, you can see under a dungeon finder, is actually a meter that will count for how long the stuff will stay up, for how long you've been in the purple circle. And so you'll see it goes in increments of 3, 6, 9, it'll just increments of 3, of course, going up. And so I wait until it hits 6, clear poison if I have poison, then run and turn into a gorilla if not. And then I wait for the bombs. I just sit there and I look for the bombs, waiting for where the first one's going to go, where I have to knock it into. And where you knock the bombs into, you can see here, it's a little fuzzy at the top, but that's where the bombs need to go.
Yeah, for the first set of bombs, you knock them into the same corner as the spike bomb, and then your group goes to the opposite corner of the room. And that spike bomb can pop in any corner.
Mm-hmm. So, Balana, how many times have you messed up bombs?
I think I messed it up, me personally, or my group.
Okay, well, you personally. We'll talk about
me personally. I had one bad swing where it went into like the corner, like halfway over. I'm like, we might be. Nope, we're dead.
Yeah.
And then I was like, Bard, you got this, right? Yeah, okay, Bard, okay, you handle this. And then I didn't do the grill anymore. So
really, you wiped it, and you're like, I'm done. I'm out.
I don't know if it was exactly in that order. I think I just like stopped doing it one time, and the Bard just kind of like started doing it himself. I'm like, you're fine doing it yourself, right? I don't remember. There wasn't a lot of communication about that happening, but I mean, he stepped it up and started doing that.
Okay.
And one thing I wanted to mention is you were talking about how you have the puddles on longer for your group.
Yeah.
You like hold it in. The complication that arises is the longer you have the puddles up, the higher your chances the boss might get dragged through one of those puddles.
Yeah.
And if he goes through one of those puddles, it's bad news. Like the green one heals him, the purple one gives him
I haven't seen what happens on the purple one.
I don't think I've seen him go through the purple one.
It's very rare for him to go through the purple one. I
think he gets vulnerability stacks.
Does he?
Well, like vulnerability up.
So the gorilla one gives him damage up. The green one gives him a regen, and the blue one is the best because it makes him invisible and he can't attack him. And then he's still doing all his attacks and he's invisible. And I love that one. I've seen that once and it made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
So like the red and the purple ones you can kind of live with, you can deal with it, but the green and the blue ones are bad news when you get
haste.
those.
Okay, they're saying haste is what.
Oh, it's haste. That's it.
Haste. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you don't want him to go through the gorillas, the gorilla or not the gorilla. I'm sorry, you don't want him to go through any of the puddles.
Now, I was saying that for the way you were doing it, at this part of the fight, it's pretty safe because he does boost right after this. You're not really moving the boss unless you're trying to move him too close to purple for a little bit more uptime. But, I mean, I wouldn't even recommend that. Sorry, what am I talking about? You have to move him because of the bombs right here, right?
Mm-hmm. So your group's going to move to the opposite corner where the bombs are at.
Yeah. I mean, we always walk around the puddles if they're up, and we just take a direct line if they're not, so it's not too bad. It's mostly the praise is when he's usually close at risk of touching one.
I think 6 is usually the go-to number that I go to. I have 2
6 is a
ticks.
good
I wait till
number.
6
6 is
happens. And if we're completely,
number.
like for example, if we need to turn to birds and we're like really far away from it and I think people are behind, I'll let it hit 9. But I don't let it go any further than that because then that's definitely going to be in range of when he's done slamming, he's going to run through stuff.
Another thing about how the purple, the the Gobelixer works, or the was it Gobelixer sample? Yeah, so Gobelixer. If you have more than 2 people in there, it kind of like increases like extremely fast. Like it starts going up by like tens if you have like 2 people in there or something like that. So as soon as if you have miscommunication and 2 people go in at the same time, you're gonna have those pools up for a very long time. And obviously, if it ever hits 100, the boss enrages. So
I've never tried that. I didn't know if you could
I
do
did
it
that
to
on
100.
normal mode. We did
That's
that on
news to
normal.
me too.
Oh
Yeah.
wow. Okay, but yeah, we just assign one person to it so they can completely control it, and there's no big mistakes, and that's me in my group.
Yep, we just
and
have
of
our
course, there's
solid
tons of
dude, too.
mistakes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're doing this. We're throwing bombs, and I'm gonna let Balana actually comment some on this video.
Sure.
Ark.
Yeah.
So he can get some in. He can get some words in.
Yeah, sure. He's smacking those bombs around.
He's smacking those
and-
bombs
oh,
around.
He shoots. He scores.
He scores. All right. And so many times when I hit this, it goes straight off to the side. You have to be like behind. There needs to be a gap between you and the bomb when you hit it.
Yeah.
Because
You don't wanna
otherwise.
skip your hitbox. I've hit it and gone backwards before. It's awesome.
Snow cloak practice, guys. That's what it
And
is.
when that happens, you're just
You
like,
gotta
all right,
fix it.
I wiped the group. I walk up from the computer because there's nothing you can do. There's no recovering from the bomb mistake like that. It's pretty bad. Oh, we're missing Ark now. Ark, you went out of the shot.
Coming
man.
back.
Okay, make sure you're muted when you come back in here. Yeah.
It'll get it together.
Yeah, he'll get it together. Okay, so you knock it off there, and as soon as you knock those off into the corner, you can just press 2. And I fat fingered 2 last night too. When I was trying to hit the bomb, I was like, hit the bomb 2, and then I just turn out of a gorilla. I'm like, all right, another situation. I'll walk up from the keyboard, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do anymore.
GG guys. Let's
Yeah, you
everybody
kill the
hit
group.
return. Oh wait, you can't do that anymore.
So it's a very vital position, and you have to make sure someone who's in there is going to take responsibility for screwing up and not completely get into a hyper depressed mode like I do sometimes when that happens.
Like I was even saying at the start, so the bombs are like that's your method of like wiping the group. Usually, for the most part, like you tell the group to go to the wrong spot or stack up in the wrong spot or hit the bombs in the wrong location or anything like that. Those are the mechanics that are wiping the most. That's why I was kind of saying it's like someone can carry that knowledge, but if they make a mistake, it's wiping the whole group, and it's pretty painful that you're like it's like because there's not that's one of the main things that'll like get you on this fight. And that's why I was saying like you want people who are very comfortable with the mechanic, but they're still going to make mistakes because it's an RNG mechanic, and they might just like we're talking about focus. They might have lost focus for a little bit or distracted for a little bit.
And you don't have to have it exactly in the corner. It needs to be pretty much over there, but you can
That's
have it a little bit
the whole reason
off.
why the group moves to the opposite corner, because there's things you could do with the bombs to maybe try and make it so you could hug a different wall. But that puts a lot more pressure on the gorilla. If you go to the opposite corner, you're pretty safe, as long as you hit them in the same direction as the other spike bomb.
Yeah, and if you just squeeze in really tight to that corner over there, you can mitigate even like a little bit of like a bad push. Like you can be pretty far out from the intended corner. You can still like squeeze into the opposite end.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to next mechanic you're going to talk about here, Balana, as we go into it.
Okay.
And so what do we have going on? We have blow up bombs. We have. Oh yeah, here we go.
All right. Yep.
This is the next one.
All right, so you're asking the summoner about snapshotting dots here because he's going into a phase now where he's taking half damage. So basically,
Is it
whenever
25%, I thought it was 25%.
I think it was around half. I don't remember exact details.
Well,
Maybe
it's less
20%.
damage, guys. I thought it was 20%.
Anyway, it's less damage, and
Yeah.
but you can snapshot dots before that applies. So going into this as a summoner, I typically try to hard cast all my dots, get them back on there, unload whatever stacks I can, and hit them with Dreadroom Trance with a Death Flare, because those dots are going to still be ticking into this next phase at their maximum potential. So if you can line things up as much as you can, extend your dots with Contagion, dot him up before he goes to the next phase. Like during this transition, you can get his animation is about like 5 seconds, I want to say. So you can get 2 hard casts and 1 normal cast in during the transition, and so just snapshot him up and keep rolling that damage.
I gotcha. Okay, so he's going in here now. He's big. You saw how
Now he's big.
you saw the hitbox, how it changes, and of course it's going to screw up once you're done with that, you're like, oh well, I can't attack anymore. Screw it, I'm running.
Yeah,
That's how I think about it. I'm just like, I can't attack him anymore. He changed. It's time for me to run and get boosted.
So then the next thing he's going to do is he starts pounding the ground. And what do you do to dodge pounding the ground? You turn into a bird because you're not on the ground then. And so if you get hit by any of these, it's a knockback and a vulnerability stack. And then at the same time, he's going to start dropping bombs. And the pattern for this first one is you're going to want to move to the side where the first one drops. And then the fourth one, 4 bombs are going to drop, covering the entire arena. So you move to where the first one dropped, and you're like out of range of it. So you're sitting on the 4th bomb. As soon as the first one goes up, you move in. It's Titan bombs.
Yeah, exactly. And so you can see this first one about to explode, and you guys are right next to the 4th one, and they explode pretty fast after one another. That's why you have to be right there.
Right.
If you're, yeah, you get a little bit of time. If you're at the wrong one, they blow up really fast after each other.
If you're standing at 2 and 3, you can do it if you have a good connection, but it's just so much easier to go to 3 and 4.
Yeah. Or
you see,
1
it's not
and
even
4.
glowing yet. It's not
One
even
and 4.
glowing yet when we move. So
Yeah.
we have
Yeah,
like
so-
a good 3 seconds or so.
And then that's when it explodes. Like, yeah, you have, as soon as you see it explode, you need to be moving forward, though. Like,
Right.
you don't have, if you delay, like, maybe a second or two, you're probably dead if you're in the wrong
yeah,
spot.
yeah. And on the other one, you have about like a 1 second window. You have a like somewhere close to 3 second window on this one to move.
Yeah. And so when that blows up, you're safe to hit 2 and get out, right? That's when the slamming stops, when the 4th bomb explodes. Because it looks like right here, like, you're good. It's exploded,
Yep,
you're
we
good.
immediately, we dodge and then turn it off.
Yeah.
Well, it's better not to time that based off of other mechanics. Just know that he's
Yeah.
going to slam 4 times. So you can see, like, popping up in your characters, like, attack missed, attack missed, attack missed, attack missed. Okay, I can drop out of it now. Like, there's other times where there'll still be bombs up, but you can switch out a bird because he's done doing his ground pounds. And I believe it's 4 every single time.
All right. And so, all right, cool. Now we're going into this next part. He's big, he's huge, and then you see a prey going out. And this prey, usually you want to keep him towards the blue side, I'm assuming, right? Ark, is that what you...
This is actually done like really perfectly, but we also got good RNG.
Yeah, with the bombs,
But
because that's what
we want the boss on top of the Chimera, or at least on this side of the room where the blue is.
Yeah.
Yeah, ideally you're ending up over there where,
Yeah,
you know...
you can even move the boss afterwards, but if you can get the prey to move him over there, it's good. There's a lot of ways to do it. I like Frosty, your group actually moves the boss, and I mean, it's a matter of preference whether or not the group's okay with the boss moving around, or would rather just have them on the south side by the blue. I personally would prefer that the boss always gets moved on top of the Chimera, but as long as he's on the same side as the blue, it's not so bad. Okay. If he's not on the same side as the blue, though, that it makes this phase pretty like annoying to do.
Because someone's going to get a teller soon. But first, before we even get to that point, I mean, that's positioning. You always want to try to get him to the blue side. You have a prey going out, and as a scholar, your job is usually going to be to adlo whoever gets the prey, and you can tell by the little symbol next to their name. If you look next to Izu here on the party list, you can see the little prey symbol, and as soon as you see that, you're casting adlo on them. That's like your or in my group, that's our focus. We don't have any other way of doing it. Do you guys have any other way of doing it besides the scholar adloing?
Adlo Stone Skin? You have your value in cast Stone Skin on them?
We don't do Stone Skin. I don't think it's necessary to do Stone Skin.
I didn't actually watch this video ahead of time. I watched my other one, so I can't guarantee that we got everyone.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see.
I
She doesn't have Adlo on her by now. I think she's pretty much dead unless... Oh, it's being cast. I see it's being cast.
Okay, let's see what happens.
All right.
One thing...
We're good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You were mentioning how you can, use your preys to reposition them. Just make sure you're always communicating with your team where you're moving the prey to.
Yes.
Because if, typically you go to, your B marker, but you're going to C this time, people might not know about that switch up. They might not notice it. So, call it out so people don't get, stormed on.
Yeah. And so, all right. So he runs straight to that side, and this is the prey where you have to actually get behind him because the whole group's moving.
That's
right afterwards, and that's kind of a annoying thing, and it's a good thing that the Adlo got on there in time because man, it sucks when you think you cast Adlo and then it just didn't hit with the right server tick, and then they get hit by it, and then I just have to apologize every time I see that damage down because it doesn't make me mad, it just makes the guy who gets it mad because he's going to live through it. And so you see a whole group running over here behind him. Do you guys bait where he's facing ever? I mean, in this position, you can't really bait it, right? Because you're all running to that side. He's most likely he's going to be turning around.
I mean, you can bait it. We've had some weird ones where people were really quick at getting to the other, because once the prey is moving over, you can start moving over as well. Because if he calls out, you know where he's going, you can start moving over there. If you're like a caster or healer, you don't need to wait for him to move for you to move. You just don't be in his path. So you can be stacked up where the prey is before he even starts casting this, and then he targets a random player for this. So always be cognizant of where he's actually facing. Don't just assume, oh, he's over on this side, I need to be on this side. Just look at the model, get on that booty.
Yep. Basically, always be on that butt What a giant barrel is, by the way. If you
Well,
can't see his butt, it
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
covers it up. But
Yeah, so what I was gonna say is that, like, at this point, basically, we try not to move him around too much. Like, you can bait it to the wall and stuff like that if you really want to, but what we were more focused on was making sure no one got the damage down. So I actually kind of like having him like go all the way to the wall with the prey. So that will usually make it so that's a little bit hard to bait it to the wall. But you're pretty much, see how we're in the hitbox right now? This is fine. You can be in the outer hitbox and not get hit by it. Just don't be in the inner hitbox, kind of thing.
yeah, and that's I've died because if you look at the slam, it's like Sephiroth. Basically, you have to be behind him. You can't be on the side of him at all. It's a full 180 hit.
Yeah, it feels like even a little bit larger than 180 because there's been times where I'm like, I totally was behind him there and I still got hit. So
yeah, and it's rough. I've died to it a few times, and luckily I'm a scholar, not just sprint, so it's whatever. And then the ones that have the most issue, basically, if you need help as a melee doing this, you can't be in the line of path from him to his target, but you can run along the side of that path and then get behind him if you're having like a lot of issues getting over there in time. You just got to make sure that you're kind of on the edge of the hitbox, I guess, before he moves over there. Then start running, and then right as you hit your last GCD, he runs over there, and you kind of meet him up as your GCD comes back up. But then that's if you're like hyper awesome, crazy DPS. Okay, so you're going through here. You still have your serious face on, by the way. That's a very good serious face there. Yeah.
Raid face.
Raid face. I have it so often. And then here's when he's going to start doing his thing again. And now, do you guys virus at this point? Is this like a good
we
point to
virus
virus?
the attack afterwards, but we could virus like around like 3 or 4 stacks.
I think like
maybe, I'm not too sure.
It's not 4. It's 3. It's 2 or 3 stacks, right? Because the 4th one is like the last one. It's like when you get the pill icon and everything. And
we were mostly using viruses for whatever mechanic he did after.
Okay. So going through this part here, this is where I virus. Yeah.
So the virus just went up, so it's for the next hit. So that's fine. Like as long as it's up for the big hit is what we were going for.
Yeah, and so if you're going to do your virus planning, this is probably where you want to plan it out, right? Everything. And like getting it between I was going to say a Balana and a Scholar, but getting it between like a Summoner and a Scholar, you don't really need to organize it that much. It's like kind of overkill, right?
I mean, yeah, you've got what, 3 in a party if with your caster, because this is a physical hit. Actually, I'm not sure if it applies to the hit that comes out. We didn't do too much testing with virus on this. It was over, pretty quick. So it's survivable with tank cooldown, so we didn't really, bother setting up a virus rotation.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny. Like the summoner that we had in our group subbing for us last night was like, when do you want me to do virus? I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's all just a matter of like if like those kind of cooldowns are great for when like like when you need it. Basically, it's like is it like, can you get more DPS out if you virus, or is healing totally fine there? You don't feel like you need the virus, you can use it somewhere else potentially, right? Is there ever a risk of the person dying from your other pulls at that point? Right? Or do you just want to save it for emergency? It's really all up to your group, right?
Yeah, and this is where it's like going back and forth, by the way. The first one was like he hit the tank buster. This is where he has to tank up. This is your Titan mechanic that's been everywhere now. Or not Titan, I'm sorry, the Thoradin mechanic.
Yeah.
That everyone has to stack for. And it helps out. Virus helps out a lot with that. It makes it a little bit less. And this is where I might end Dom if I'm feeling really kind, even though I don't need to. This fight could be solo healed, I'm pretty sure.
Does virus affect that mechanic there?
I thought it might. I mean,
because it looks like it's you got the damage for it on screen right there. It's what, 14k? Looks like a pretty round even number. I don't know.
Yeah, and so that's what a lot of people were talking about, if that's like pure damage or not. And that's kind of what I'm wondering about that too, because a lot of people don't even look into this stuff, right? They don't even because they survive it. It doesn't matter. It's not something that's like wiping groups constantly.
Yeah, I'm seeing like I went into the logs and I didn't. This is something I probably should have done before the show, but I saw like it hitting as low as 9k on some cases and as high as 14k in other cases, and that could be how many people are stacked up for it.
So I guess it also depends on who did the virus, right? Did the Scholar? Well,
No, it doesn't matter. Scholar. It does. Everything reduces physical damage. Every virus reduces physical.
So it's physical, of course. He's not casting something. When he's a big guy, I'm guessing it's all physical. Shock therapy would be magical damage.
So
right?
I'm like, I'll have to leave it as like, am not totally sure if that is something that can be
Or
mitigated.
maybe it didn't happen early enough. Maybe it needed to happen like when it was at 2 stacks, because as soon as you turn into a pill, it doesn't. I don't know.
I will be honest. Like I have been like I'm not too sure if that attack can be mitigated because I know you can't use Hollow or Holmgang through it either. So it's probably something that I'll look into next time we do the fight because it's just something I thought about recently. So and if that is true, I would just use the virus for like the concussion hits or whenever your healers really feel like they want to try and push back DPS, I guess.
Cool guys back. All right, and so okay, we don't know. That's the one thing that's been discussed a lot. So virus might not even matter during that part. You might want to do it like
does something for the tank buster though, because I think it does. The single target one go up straight.
we might see it actually come up here. All right, and so here's you're starting at this, and you've activated.
Yes.
Someone went over there and activated.
We tried to. So like
oh yeah, it went up. Yeah, nice, good job.
It wasn't done long enough. So of course there's gonna be some mistakes in this video. I'm pretty sure a warrior dies at least once, and then I don't refresh my stacks properly, and I die at the very end right as we kill it. But when that was actually activated, that was the correct time to put the pools up. It just wasn't put up long enough. When he shrinks, put those pools up so that whoever gets tethered just walks right in. And then that Chimera, it doesn't even act like he has a tether at any point, and you can just pick it up and tank it.
Yeah.
So and I always shade shift. Yeah, I got the shade shift. I shade shift the tank that's picking it up too. If you're a ninja, that's kind of just a nice thing to help with the aggro. So you can you can start attacking it and not worry about it facing you or facing the group after you hit it. Yeah. So I'm wondering how this turns out. I can't remember.
So this is why I hit 6 every time. By the way, Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's definitely what I would prefer. We don't necessarily have that down in every single attempt. Right.
The other thing that
every time is pretty good.
I want to comment on right now is that we've already spent nearly an hour talking about this fight, and we're not even halfway through. So we might not get through a lot of videos tonight.
Maybe we'll just get A6. It's.
I mean, we're lucky if we'll get A6.
Sure, there's some people who are getting stuff out of this. Like we're really dissecting the crap out of it and having some fun.
I'm actually kind of enjoying it, although Balana's probably like, what are you doing? I'm tired of this. How you doing,
I'm hanging in there, you know.
You're hanging in there.
It's a pretty straightforward fight, so you know.
It's until we don't know about this stuff, right? And so we got the Chimera and everything. This is the only part where I actually start jumping in and healing again because Kerr's healing pretty much everything. And I'm like, oh well, 2 tanks are taking damage. I might as well heal unless if she's a Astro and she just Sinistries, and like it's no point to me to heal at all. So all right, going through this. Oh yeah, and here's the nice cleave. Yeah, that frontal clip.
That's some good raid damage right there. It's trying to build up that healing meter.
Yeah, that's trying to get the limit break up a little bit too. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, it's LB building.
Yeah, there we go.
It's a legit strat.
All right, I'm sorry I'm pausing and starting this a lot, guys. I'm going through all this stuff here. And I'm trying to find good moments to actually show you what's going on. And here you're just killing the ad. Luckily, this is getting... Say that one more time.
The cleave just happened there.
Oh, yeah, the cleave again.
Yeah, you might notice it from normal. That's why you want to tank that mob like towards a wall or away from the group. And if you can get it close to the boss, it's great for like AoE damage or cleave damage.
Yeah. And so going into this too, this is where it kind of hits like a slow point, right? Or no. This is where it gets really dicey, where your bomb guy might wipe you.
There's an ooze that comes out, and then you have to do bombs. So there's one ooze. That was not the ideal spot to drop the ooze. Obviously.
Yeah, obviously.
Pretty much anywhere along the wall would have been better.
Yeah. Because you can put that one anywhere, except for...
because of it... Oh, shoot. Because of it, I had to leave early.
You just walked into the invisibility.
I didn't need to touch blue there. It just activated as I was going around the green. So there's obviously some error happening here, but it's not so bad. But yeah, I needed to... Yeah.
Okay, so
I need to go to Gorilla, and I have less space to work with, so I wanted to get there as soon as possible. I think I barely get this or something. I can't remember what happens. Let's see.
So we see already the bombs down for the second set, right?
The spike bombs. Right. So for this one, that's where the group runs. The group runs to where that spike bombs, the first one spawns. So the whole group should be moving towards A at this point. Shortly after the two,
and they have to go around all of this crap too, by the way, to get over there to A. Just to mention,
it's a very unfortunate slime right there.
Yeah. All right, so you turn into a gorilla, you're running, and then the bombs come down, and the ideal spot for these bombs is to be in the opposite side of the first bomb, the first spike.
Now you can see the group's completely trapped there with the pools, but luckily I'm pretty sure they're about to run off.
All right, let's see it real quick.
I remember.
They kind of made it work.
Yeah. The pools fell off, right? It's a good thing I didn't touch purple or anything stupid like that.
Yeah. All right. So
I got a little bit lucky with how the bombs spawned. To be honest.
Those bombs were not too bad. They're right next to where the gorilla was, so it's kind of easy.
Yeah,
for you
not
to
in the green. I've had
even
some
though
bad-
you knocked it over here, not in the corner, perfect. I want to just say right there, you kind of hit the wall there.
See the line up there.
Yeah, it doesn't really line up. It's not clean.
Just tell everybody stack in tight. Just stack in tight, guys.
Yeah, and here's the other thing: when they're running and they're going around this big purple part or this big green part, they're having to make sure they don't go towards the wall either, because this where the original first spike bomb is going to kill anyone who touches these two
it just
walls.
blew up, so they're safe now. But yeah, safe now.
And so
those corners are fine. Trust me.
I know they're fine, but they're like that's rough. So they all have to stack super tight over here. And I like how he put Sakura down here. It's so not Sakura. I'm sorry. What is this? This is the healer bubble. This is the white mage one. I say healer when I meant white mage, by the way.
So one thing I can comment on here, which is obviously an ideal state, is that because we had to move the boss slowly. If you move the boss slowly to where the first bomb spawns, he does a shock therapy in between while you're moving him. So look where he is right now. He's like standing in the middle of the room doing his shock therapy. Not very great for melee DPS uptime.
And here's the circles, by the way.
So that's a motivation to make sure to move him to the correct spot. Let's see how these bombs work out.
Yeah, we saw it. Yeah, there they are.
See, I had lots of space. You could have been standing in the whole circle.
Yeah, okay. You could have probably stand in the whole circle. It wasn't nearly as bad. It just wasn't perfect. All right.
You know, some of the guys lost their eyebrows. They got singed off right there. Yeah, that's fine.
All right, and so you're going into this next part, and this is where he starts spamming shock therapy.
Yes,
right?
this little burn phase.
And this is where you just burn, you focus on doing as much damage as possible. There's not really too much to really even say about it. You're just sitting in here blasting away.
I guess
Hitting
one thing
very
to point
hard
out is
and very
that
fast.
it's pretty solo healable part of the fight. It's a good place to have good healer DPS.
Yeah, Scholar DPS definitely should step in here. Although, like, I'm used to doing Sephiroth where I'm spamming Sakura, like, all the time during that fight. And so it's like, oh, AoE, Sakura time. Spam it. It's completely worthless, though, because Regen will get everything.
And if you look at the time right now, it's 3:51. If you guys didn't skip the initial prey and you saved your 3-minute cooldowns for when he's coming out of that first big phase, all your 3-minute cooldowns will be up right here for this burn right here.
Yep.
Yep.
All right. And so,
And that's a good point. And we could maybe start saving it for that stuff if we want to get down to, like, that 6-minute kill area.
Yeah.
And you see all these bubbles, all this safety going on to completely minimize the damage. You could throw down, like, a what should we call it, Sacred Soil during this whole part here. It's actually really nice for the AoE stuff too. Yeah. And so that's where you can still focus DPS without doing any real healing. And so go ahead.
I was just gonna say, well, this is just the burn phase, but I was gonna say that I know that what's gonna happen up next is that I think our warrior, when the boost phase happens, took his off too early or put it on too late. So that's why he'll have one vulnerability stack.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right, so yeah, here's him going big again.
Something that you guys were definitely experiencing last night too. So it's a common problem.
Definitely. All right.
That too, but yeah. So boost is the next mechanics.
This is where I would put 9 stacks, by the way, because it was so kind of close to that point, and I don't know how close these guys are to getting there. So I just put it at 9, and it usually sticks around for long enough. You guys took it just to 6, though, I think, right?
It went up to 8.
Oh, it went up to 8. Okay.
No, it went up to 6. I think you're right. It did go up to 6. It's at 5 now. Yeah. I go and stand close to it in case I have to activate it again, but
all right. This is the white part. This is what kills most groups.
The 4x4 grid bomb.
Yeah.
It's a Bomberman, man.
This is Bomberman. It's rough. You got a very good
the bullshit bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a really cool one the other day. It was where it's like almost in the middle of the room. I haven't had one of those.
So there's 2 patterns really. Whether you get in a corner or you're getting into almost a corner, right?
There is no pattern.
There's no pattern.
The safe spot.
No, it's a 4x4 grid, and 3 bombs can spawn in any column and any row.
So there's no set patterns. It's just wherever they want to.
Yeah.
Have you ever had 3 just completely line up?
Yep, I've had 3 in a diagonal line. Through it.
Yep.
So
it's totally random. Yeah, you just think of a 4x4 grid, and then 3 bombs spawning in each column, and never in the same row. And then you just kind of find the row and the column that are safe. Kind of. That's how I always think about it.
Okay.
So I can't really see where the safe spot is here. I'm sure I'll move to it.
Oh no, we know exactly where
it's over
at
D.
Yeah, it's the opposite of B.
Okay.
Yeah, and so basically you're like, okay, we'll go over here.
So this is a really easy one. Yeah, you're right. This is a very easy one. So, but yeah, you can see that I would kind of describe that as being in, like, say, where we're standing is column 1, and then it goes 1, 2, 3, 4. So the bomb spawned in column 2, 3, and 4, and it also spawned in in row 2, 3, 4 down the bottom, right? So then we stood in row 1, column 1.
Okay.
If you want to
That's
think
a good
of it
way
as
of
like a
thinking
flat
about it.
surface.
All right. Well, yeah, that's cool.
So that's how it happens, and that was an easy one. It's always usually pretty easy when you're in a corner. Now, like I said, sometimes, like I think maybe our last kill, one of them was like we had to stand like right where what is that? What pet Garuda? Right where Garuda is right now was the safe spot.
Yeah.
So that's why the triangle's on my head. Sometimes people in my group are much faster at it than I am, but I try to figure out, like at this point we're all pretty fast at it. But on our first night, that's why it's on my head.
And by the way, everything exploded. He stopped slamming. Hit 2, you get out.
Yeah.
I think this is where double prey happens, right?
Yeah, there's going to be another like concussion. Blunt stacks go up and then concussion.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And
this is where this isn't the.
It's double prey.
Oh, double prey first, right?
Yeah, no. Well,
Well,
what
double
happens
plays during
is
concussion.
Yeah,
during concussion.
he'll do the blunt stacks up first, get the tank to be concussed, and then he does a stack.
Oh, okay, I got it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I see all these vulnerability stacks. There are 2 of them up there, by the way. All right, and so let's see. All right, there you go. There's the prey. And
It's
so
also when it goes on an inject, it's a shade shift.
yeah, I see him staying in that corner. And they need to. Oh no! Wait a minute. That's the concussion. You're right. So it's all happened at the same time. For some reason, that didn't click to me. I just got.
Concussion has to occur before you do the gob straight or the gob cut. Which the gob. This is the gob cut when it like everyone's grouped up.
And this is
It's
the
always
point.
AoE here.
This is the point where I'm doing nothing but looking at those 8 the party list, right? And so I'm just looking at who's going to get prey first. And so I see. Was it you or Izu that got it first? Hold on, let me.
I got it first. That's why I'm moving to A.
Okay,
Right.
yeah, and so you got it first.
Second, stand still. But
Yeah, the second person you typically have stay in for the stack and then stay there so the boss goes away and then comes back.
I see that it looks like instead of doing Adlo, they did a Sakor here on everybody.
Well, he's
it won't
casting
matter.
Adlo right now.
Oh, is he? No, that's Medica too. Let's see.
Like I said, it
Okay,
won't
there
matter.
goes the Adlo. Okay, I gotcha.
But it's nice. It's always nice. I can stand closer. Like it's no problem because I have the double shield right now.
Okay. And then boom, you get out of the way. Everyone moves out of the way. Boom, it goes to the second guy. Then you guys, you can bait this one really easily if you wanted to bait this one.
Yeah, I don't know if we do. We probably didn't.
It doesn't look like it. It looks like you
At
guys
this
are just.
point, we put like 3 hours into the fight.
Yeah.
So like, I'm totally comfortable doing stuff like this because I know that he's too big to make it so you can't stand in the hitbox if you're hugging the wall. So.
I mean, do you guys ever put any importance, Balana, do you guys ever put any importance on baiting, or you're just like, whatever, it doesn't matter if it happens to happen?
We're just whatever. Everybody adjusts. I mean, we had to face some weird angles, so unintentionally baiting it the wrong way. But
yeah, that happens. Yeah, that's the thing about baiting. If you dodge too early, you have to be disciplined about it, and it's nice to just kind of do it loosely. And
I mean, there's not really a huge benefit to baiting either. So
yeah, because I can still do positionals if I don't have to bait. If I'm really trying to get my positionals in, and then it'll just get thrown into that direction that I'm facing in, and everyone's used to not moving in whatever direction his back is at.
Your warrior's getting wrecked.
Because he has 2 vulnerability stacks up there. Said that he definitely dies here.
He did his home gang.
I said an early home gang. I was like, I think the home gang was early. Sorry.
Yeah, and then
so at least he took the 4 stacks though, so that's good. One thing that we didn't probably point out before is that you don't want both tanks taking those stacks because the stacks last a very long time. The blunt resistance stacks, you definitely want a tank to get concussed because it removes the stacks and the concussion lasts like 10 seconds or whatever.
Yeah, rest in peace tank DPS on that too.
So you don't want it's good that he died from the last stack there because we didn't want our pally to get one.
Right.
And then he'd take extra damage from the boss for the rest, like for a very long time. Okay. This is a single target tank buster, Sheltron, all that stuff.
Yeah, same things that you guys saw earlier that we were talking about. We're getting into that phase where he's having to recover. And the best way to recover here, of course, is to get that tank up. He has to run with weakness. And do you get protect? Do you get a protect?
Yeah.
Yep, there it goes.
There it comes. Yeah.
The white mage, yeah.
All right, so protect's going off on him. And
so
go ahead.
At this point, I was just about so you notice the pools are turned on now here, right? Mm-hmm. So this is I made a mistake here because our DPS was ahead, and I think I said don't bother or something stupid like that, or I thought not to bother. But at this point, the boss is basically just auto attacking and doing almost nothing. This is a really good time to refresh your Goblixer stacks, and I guess I should explain how that works exactly. But
well, yeah, I mean you get a point to where the first one is like 3 minutes, right? The second one is like 2 minutes or something like that. Or is it like how's those stacks work? I think it's it diminishes the more stacks you have.
Yes. Yeah. So, and I took an extra one here, so that's why mine was a little bit shorter than everyone else's, because I stepped into that blue when I was on my way to the red, just because of that there. But anyways, this is a good time for everyone in the group to refresh their stacks if you're planning to kill the fighter on like 8 minutes and 30 seconds or something like that. You might have to do it again otherwise, but you can keep an eye out. But it's just great because the boss is basically doing nothing right now. Like he's doing nothing to the point where a tank could go and do it even if they wanted to.
Yeah.
So this is my favorite time to refresh your stacks. I don't know if anyone is actually going to do it on this attempt because we killed it fast. So we might have called not to do ball there.
Yeah, the reason why
I'm
you
just pointing out for
refresh,
everyone else, it was a good time to do it.
Okay.
the reason why you refresh is because when that falls off, you get a dot on you based on the number of stacks you had before.
Yeah,
and it's a really nasty dot. So
I lived through it once, guys. I lived through it. I was really proud of myself. Like I messed up. I was like, well, I guess I'm wiping. Whatever. Less straight. Add low. And then eventually I lived through it, and I was like, all right, well, I'm in the clear now. I don't have to worry about anything for the rest of the fight.
Yep.
But
and
go ahead.
Rush timers, and when it runs off, it slows you and makes you take a lot of damage. So especially your gorilla player should not let it. It should be the one who's very cautious about it falling off.
Okay. Yeah, and the gorilla one, which is me, I'm always looking at him like, okay, well, I got to refresh, guys. So it's time for you guys to start thinking, hey, I should refresh. But
there's a lot of ways to do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is my favorite time personally. It's right here.
And we just have the whole group refresh here, which you guys didn't do.
Yeah, we didn't. Like I said, I think on this attempt we didn't, but lately we have been when we have like some mistakes in the fight or something like that.
Okay. And you guys are moving him over to A right now.
This is where the Yorn pigs spawn.
Okay. And this is the which corner?
This is the top right.
Northeast.
If you enter the room.
Top right. Okay.
This is where the Yorn pigs spawn. So we pick up the Yorn pigs and then move to B, where the Gobgocker is. Now,
okay. So
like
you don't let the healer pull him in.
The damage on these Yorn's pigs is pretty much just purely padding. So it doesn't really matter if you use your pally or your warrior on them.
Like they also spawn with vulnerability down stacks, so you can't really do too much damage to them outside of like baning dots until I think it's 15 seconds after they've come up.
Okay.
But LB cuts right through that.
Yeah. And so when you're also doing this, we always had and I always, for some reason, a scholar picked up the aggro on it in our group, but we always had the healers just be next to where the tanks are so they can pull in the pigs that way, and that way they're not running across.
Yeah, it works. It's just a little dangerous because 5 of them hitting you is likely to interrupt your cast or maybe kill you. So if you got like a cover or you're just watching, it's probably just a little bit extra healing though. Mm-hmm. So we just like our tank doing it. So we immediately, what we do is that, now again, we're still like very low experience on the fight, but no matter, if you're ever having trouble with petrification on this fight, no matter where you are or what you're doing, if you do what I'm doing right now and just hug a wall, no matter where in the room you are, you cannot get petrified when it's about to happen.
Okay.
So if anyone's struggling with that mechanic, you can do this. Unfortunately, I can't show what Easy's doing with the limit break, but so I don't know if she actually did it correctly this time, but she she did. There you go. That's perfect. Yeah. She casts the limit break and then moves into the wall.
Is she looking out?
Nope, she's looking at the wall.
Oh, she's looking right at the wall. Yeah.
Yeah,
so
she limit breaks, and then as she's casting it, you get a little bit of time to move, and it won't cancel your limit break cast, so that she can go to the wall and not get petrified. So like I don't have like a good point of view of her doing it. We saw it from another group doing it, of course, but yeah. That's
how I do it.
Yeah, there you go. They're great. Yeah, Balana has probably have the point of view. What am I talking about? So yeah. So that's one of the better ways to do it. And like I said, if you're having any issue with it, just go right to a wall.
Yeah.
And so then it hits. So
it's also insane. The point that like I'm all this starting and pausing the video is because there's so much mechanics to actually talk about during the entire fight. It's insane.
And we're also giving our kind of like our commentary for fun.
Yeah.
So here, you might want to. Okay, so I'm gonna be. It's a good thing I look around so much because I'm raid leading. It'd be weird for a ninja to look around this much normally.
Right.
So what I'm looking at is how the Minotaur in the correct location, and is the Yorn pigs being so if you probably saw it for a little second there, but the Yorn pig spawned, and I think the Minotaur was kind of moved just slightly late, so that was a little bit risky, but it's fine in this case. But the Yorn pigs spawn in the top left corner, and that's where the Minotaur also spawns, so that's why you want to move him to A once he spawns. Mm-hmm. So I get a really good view of something awesome here that comes up, is that we noticed that sometimes, so the goal is to get the healer aggro on those 3 Yorn pigs, right? When we want them to come right to us. Sometimes we're not actually healing because there's not much damage going out here. So there's been a couple attempts that they just shoot right for the tank, and we had to say, okay, just overheal a little bit, make sure Medica 2's up, but it's not up right now. So it's kind of funny what happens here. You can see them kind of they were like right beside the Minotaur. So
It's gonna curve in right there.
See, like, we got.
Well,
some
I want to
heals
see
in
that
there,
again.
so
I missed that. Hold on. Let me go back.
So yeah, watch out for that. You do actually need to do some healing, even if it's not required if you're using healer aggro.
Yeah,
So what happens?
watch
is
in the top left. See
Minotaur
Yeah.
gets
Oh yeah, going straight for him.
Yeah.
And.
I'm pretty sure he should have seen those. But
So
whatever.
if the Minotaur actually eats those, what happens again?
He gets
you wipe.
damage.
Oh no, really just wipe.
He hits the whole raid for like 12 to 13k, I think. You can get a
Yeah.
vulnerability stack and just bad news.
I don't
Yeah,
think we've ever hit that. That's
It's
pretty
good because
crazy.
it's the strategies make it almost impossible for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, you do need your healers like maybe overhealing a little bit if they're really into DPSing. So just
Yeah,
just the aggro, or actually we had our summoner just toss a pain flare over there too if depending on what's going on. So
yeah, and
just make sure
it's actually kind of interesting to talk about that too because we kind of skipped it here. On a tank point of view, the main tank, the off tank, is actually picking up the Minotaur and he's running to that corner because that's where the snakes spawn.
That's just about the snake. So when he eats
Yeah.
the snake, it poisons the Minotaur, and then when the Minotaur gets to 8 stacks, I believe, it dies.
Right.
It's the
And-
same
but
as
when
the
it-
poison stack that goes out on you from the snake.
Yeah.
All
And it
right.
also makes it so the Cobra's out of the equation, so you don't have to deal with the Cobra in that part of the fight.
Let's hit a few questions here. One that just came up right now is what happens if you don't hit limit break 3?
My team does it with LB2. We can't get them close enough to hit both of the Petrify guys, so we just LB the stack and have everybody burn the other Petrify.
Okay.
We've had to do that a couple of times as well.
I mean, it works. You just have to make sure you avoid the petrification. Like you're avoiding it
You
anyways,
always have
right?
to avoid it.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
make sure you you just have to remember to go and kill the second Gawker.
Yeah. Does he run over to you or does he just stay there?
He
The
runs
Gawker?
really slowly.
Oh.
It's not worth waiting for him to come over. You need to like LB right away there.
They're like ranged, so they do like a lot of abilities.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I got a couple other questions here about this fight. Malfested want to know what if before the boost pounds you crit Adler the warrior, Divine Veil, and let him take the hits and continue DPSing as a human? I don't know if you can. I guess you can block the first. I don't know. Does it?
You get vuln stacks from
Even if
getting
it's shielded
pounded
up
like that.
past the damage.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's how it
Otherwise,
works
you would
in.
like hollow through it and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And not to mention that the safe spot for the bombs isn't necessarily anywhere near the boss. Sometimes it is, and then you can like wing cutter the boss a little bit, but usually it's not. So there's not really much gains from that.
Okay.
It'd be very rare when there was, if it does work at all. But it'd be interesting to find out if it does.
All right.
I
Sword
don't think it
Hunter.
does.
Sword Hunter wants to know if there's always a safe spot on the perimeter. I'm guessing he's talking
No.
about the second bomb phase.
The bullshit bombs.
Yeah, the bullshit bombs. It's not always on the edge, right?
No.
Okay. I gotcha. Let's go. Let's continue here. We see lots of cool summoner
Sure.
stuff. The triangle, which always looks absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah.
Try disaster, right?
Yeah.
You can see that my debuff's at like 10 seconds now, right? So I wonder what'll happen when it hits 0.
Yeah. All right. So, are you taking damage right now? Let's look at yours.
No, I haven't. It hasn't
Yeah.
come up yet. I was kind of like just more, like interested in just like, yay, we're killing it faster than we did last
3,
week.
2, 1, and now you got the dot.
Yeah. Okay. So now we see. Well, it blocks it there
A
with the
little,
title,
like,
but
evil debuff, yeah.
yeah.
Oh, did you blood for blood right when that came? Oh, you got
Yep.
snapshot of blood for blood.
I didn't even notice that. I
Oh.
didn't think about it. Like the boss is almost dead, so like I was like, oh,
Yeah,
this
yeah.
shock therapy that barely hits me for anything.
Yeah. Okay. And so go. Yep. Just like almost instantly die from it.
I think I lost like 5 DPS from that. It's fine.
Okay.
He's at like what 10k health right now.
All right. So I'm gonna jump here.
You should, because we skipped the final ad there.
So
I
I'm
don't-
gonna jump to my video just
Yeah.
because we see a lot more of that at the end. Where were we here? We were.
Yeah. I think
Oh
that's
yeah, you didn't even know what that ad was. You're like, what is that ad?
No, I know. We get it most of the time. That was just one of the 1
Okay.
weeks we actually had an okay execution.
Where I think it's right around the time LB3 happens. I'm trying to find it, guys. Sorry. Let's see. There's the Minotaur. We'll just say it was around here. Let's pause it.
With debuff.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and see, here's where I have the debuff. All right. I'm doing the same thing that Ark's doing here, but watch me. Left straight. I'm like, screw it. I'm going into the center. I'm gonna like just sit here and take as much damage as I can. All right. Now I'm going over here. I'm gonna try to clear my debuff. I'm trying to regain my stacks.
Does that work? I've never
No,
tried
it doesn't work. I didn't know what I was doing.
The debuff, just focus on staying alive.
I was like, all right, left straight, run in here, go in here. Oh, I got it. Oh, it doesn't work. I don't know what to do. And then I'm sitting here, I'm about dead. You can see how hard these ticks are really hitting, and I'm just screwing it. And then Essential Dignity, you see Curve's like, I'll save you. Look at her face. She's like, mother goddamn. And so she's sitting here trying to save me. And then eventually, I think I just keep going through it, and yep, and then I live. I'm done. If you're a healer and you get it, you can grunt your way through it and maybe make it.
You could, as a healer, you can also save other people who do it wrong.
I wonder if Kerr died sometime, because you can see she doesn't have any stacks on her. I wonder if she died at some point, or if she like same thing happened to her.
Yeah, there are only two possibilities: either they die or they got the debuff. I think Kurt did die on this attempt.
Yeah, I can't remember. We go pretty far on this, by the way. All right, so let's start this up again and see. Here's shock therapy spam, and I think the other ad comes.
Yeah, here's all the mechanics that got skipped in that other video.
Yeah, here's all the other mechanics that are happening. Oh, she died to the 3 bombs. Okay, that's what happened.
Okay.
All right.
So you get basically another.
And then I step in here. You see how I run over here, and I'm like, okay, guys, I died. I'm an idiot. Please step in a puddle right now, so we keep going. And so I activate the puddles for everyone else. I run back. Everyone does their thing. Tanks turn into a bird and unturn into a bird. And then this guy comes in just slamming our off tank, right? Because he does crits. All his hits are crits, and you have to...
Cleave and crits. All his attacks are crits, and they cleave. They hit very hard. And the check here is that you need to kill him before the tank swap occurs.
Yeah.
Because there's a concussion going out here, or the blunt stacks in the concussion.
And let's see what... I don't think we actually succeed in that either. And so he's sitting here, and I'm doing everything I can to keep him up. I'm spamming on it. You can see the stacks going on Hydra. Hydra's just like taking like ridiculous amounts of damage at this point.
Yeah, we just used Hollowed Ground. We had our Paladin go pick that ad up and HG it. We burned it before his HG was off.
Yeah, I don't know if we already used it at this point or what exactly happened. And then I'm like, all right, I'm gonna Sacred Soil. We're gonna push through this here. And he's at 11% right now, by the way. He's not super close to dead. He's just kind of close to dead. So we see a good bit here. And then this next mechanic happens. Hydro has it. The provoke didn't happen. Our off tank didn't have provoke up. He used it on the other ad. So we have Hydro sitting here with the marker on him. And at this point, Argent's here calling out, hey, stack on the main tank. Let's stack on the main tank and see if we can...
I don't think we could... He's going to die no matter what.
Yeah,
so... You write him off at that point. He's like, oh, he's gone, boys. He's done.
And so we're letting it sit here, and this is all happening here. Argent runs over to him. You can see him running over there, and then Carrick's like, what do I do? And then boop. Somehow, I think he died before the mechanic happened.
So yeah, it looks like that's what happened.
And it just blasted the entire group. Yeah, and so these guys, Carrick and Dante, were both saved by that. And last summon here. And I don't know how we lived without them being stacked there, but you can see... Oh, no, there we go. Looks like Carrick might have took some of it there. Or maybe that was from the boss. I don't know. But we're going back here. We're just like, screw it. DPS as hard as we can. And we res Hydro just to let him DPS. And then the next Chimera comes out. Yep. I bet you guys didn't know that. Oh, I guess you didn't know that.
No,
I've seen it. I've seen a rage on this fight. I've been through the whole thing.
Oh, you've seen a rage? Yeah, I've seen up to the bombs. I don't know how to do the bombs, though.
Okay. So we're sitting here, and then we get it cleared off real quick, do this whole bit of mechanics. And this part, some of you guys are never going to see any of this. And we don't focus on the Chimera here. We ignore him.
Yeah, it's not worth it when the boss's health is that low.
Yeah. Yep. And so we're all focusing on him. We wait for Limit Break 1 to come up, and then we use Limit Break 1. Let's see how much further we get in this fight. And then here's where more splooge is coming out.
Yep.
And then we're getting down to... perfect spot.
It's right where you want it.
And he's the one that needs the limit break, right? He's the melee. and he's over here on the other side of the pedal.
You better elusive jump back over that and get in there in LB.
I forget what he does. No, I think he does try to run around, doesn't he?
He does a piercing talon.
Okay.
It's a move
Like
that you
5k
have.
ticks. It's not that bad.
Yeah, okay, and so we're getting to this very last point here. And then there's the bombs.
Yeah.
We don't know what to do. We're just like, screw it. If we kill it, we kill it. If we don't kill it, then we're just dead.
Yeah, I think it's another 1 in 4 pattern. Where you move to where the first one drops and then stand on the fourth one that drops.
Where do you hit the bombs, though? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't remember dealing with that mechanic too frequently.
Yeah, it's definitely another gorilla bomb phase. I know that. I was just gonna guess that it's the same as the first one, where you hit the bombs to the same corner as the original bomb, and then everyone moves to the opposite corner. That's my guess. If you guys get to that, I apologize that we can't give good advice on that. But I mean, it's not a wipe. Like, you should, if you're getting there, you can still kill it. If you learn it right.
So LB3. By the way, again, guys, I saw that question in there just to make sure. If you don't get it, then you just cast it where the boss is, where all the ads are, and then you run over and kill the other one.
Yeah, you always want... It's good to LB there. You can probably brute force your way through with Summoner AoE or Black Mage AoE and just kill everything like that. But we generally just LB it just to push through, get it done.
All right, so I'm going to do something here. And real quick, I want you guys to realize how happy Kerr is that we cleared the fight. And this is... I'm going to go back real quick to see how much time we had left on the fight when we were in a clear. You see we're in the very last minute of the instance there. We had literally a minute left when we killed it.
Yeah. You still had a good amount of time on the enrage, though. The enrage is like, it's not hard 9 minutes. It's like 9 minutes and like 20 seconds or 9 minutes and 30 seconds overall. I mean,
so what I'm going to do now, we don't really have time to go into detail about the other fights. I'm going to hit play, and I'm going to let Ark, and I'm going to do this for Balana's too. I'm going to hit play on your A6, and you're going to just try to explain it as the video is going on. And you have to explain it within...
Shoot from the hip?
Yeah, shoot from the hip. You have to explain it while it's actually happening.
This one's actually not bad because they actually section off. They repeat mechanics twice usually and section off all the mechanics. So I'll try my best. But yeah.
So this is 11 minutes here, and I'm not going to touch it. We're just going to watch it, and you're going to do your commentary. Go ahead.
All right, so we pull the boss in the set of the rooms because it makes it so wherever the mine pattern spawns, we can move in basically anywhere in the room to try and bait the dive bombs. So there's gonna be 2 type of mines, two hidden and 2 like regular mines. The purple are the hidden ones. The tank has to hit both of them. We try to hit them before dive bombs occur. So we have all the group on the same side of the room, so that when these dive bombs come up, which do splash damage when they land, and then they face a random target. So that's why we try to make them all face the middle of the room. And of course, there's a mine there, so we have to watch out for it. So now they only take up a very small section of the arena, and then it pushes them to his first phase.
Okay.
And this is just a regular AoE phase. If you don't kill them in time, they do a bunch of AoE damage and give you damage down. It's very, very easy AoE phase. Like, I don't even need to be Death Blossoming, honestly. Sometimes I just keep my Huton stack up if I'm not trying to pad.
Okay. Yeah, and this is the first time I've seen this fight, by the way.
Okay, so then he comes down. He does splash damage on the main tank. And it's kind of similar. We don't really necessarily have to keep him in the middle here because the next mechanic isn't dive bombs. It's just the peekaboo mechanic, as we call it. So same thing with the mines. The bluish purple ones have to be killed. So like sometimes it's a little bit weird. I don't know where the tank's going, so I was just kind of like move around slowly and cautiously. This is like one of the
there goes your white mage.
White mage hit one of the wrong mines. So how this works is if it's hands up, he's gonna do like a blinding type of move that will like do a bunch of damage to you. So you have to face away. If their hands are down, you have to be facing them.
Huh.
So that's
Look
how that
away
mechanic
from
works.
Zoidberg.
Yeah, Zoidberg.
Yeah. So that's something that's kind of nice to remember. After this, there's just like another set of mines. But that's like we're like
you skipped Mind Blast apparently.
We're skipping the splash. Like I think because we had the white mage down there, our damage was a little bit lower. So I was like just hit the splash. But that next mechanic was the dive bombs there. That is the fight kind of repeats.
He does a cast. You need to interrupt. That's it.
Yeah. So like even after deaths, you just keep the pull going because there's no delays on the enrage or anything like that. So there's no reason to ever hold off a pull unless for some reason something's like wrong and someone can't make it into the gate. Like you ballad during the fights and stuff like that. So double cannons is a stack up mechanic. This boss is all magical, by the way. The first boss was physical.
Okay.
That he does for his auto attacks and his regular attacks. Single cannon is a tank buster, so only the tank's supposed to hit it. You need some good cooldowns for it. You can see that tanks are getting magic resistance up the whole time, and there's a tank swap at 3, and they get hit really hard if they take anything at 3. And it's again magic. Single drill means that everyone has to be as far away from the boss as possible because you'll take damage, physical damage equal to how close you are to the boss. And then I think it's going to come up soon, but double drills here. So you have one person basically it does an AoE explosion to the closest target to the boss and the furthest target from the boss, which will knock back anyone who's not those targets and stun them. So we have our monks stay close and our healers stay far away, and everyone else kind of goes out at mid range. So
I'm going to cheat here for a second. I'm going to hold for a second.
Go for it.
I just want to remind everybody in chat that we're going to be wrong about a lot of this stuff here, and I'm forcing Ark. I'm challenging him to go through and explain all the mechanics, and he's going to tell you something and it's going to be wrong, or he might tell you something and it's completely right and you think he's wrong.
Yeah.
But we'll find. I want to. We went through so much on A5S that I want to make sure that you guys just get a preview of what these fights look like. You're not going to see a whole detail of those fights. I just want to preview it, and I'm going to make Balana do it too. Oh, yeah. And he doesn't even know what's going on A7.
I just get thrown in a box in A7. I'm like, what do I? Break me out. Can you save me?
I did miss on Blaster though.
Nope, you can't talk now. It's not play. It's not playing, man. All right.
Yeah, it was mentioned in chat. So it's
okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
So yeah, there's the double drills again. These rings that are going on, it's basically they spawn on a timer. So normally we can skip the third one. Like we were kind of just a little bit. Basically, we would have had to kill it during that double drill, but we got some bad RNG, and also our white mage is down, so our damage is a little bit lower. So it's a little bit nicer to do this next phase when you don't have 3 of those little discs going around. So the alpha orbs are just a DPS check. They kind of move towards the boss. They can be slowed, stunned, and everything. It's kind of exactly like A3S tornado phase. You don't want them to get to except that you don't want them to get to the boss as opposed to the outer ring, or else they do like big AoE damage and give you damage down. Green orbs are tank busters. Tank just has to run over and hit them. They do massive splash damage, so you don't want to be near them. And those big beta orbs, there's nothing you can do about them. When they have to get to hit to the boss, and it's just raid wide AoE. You'll notice that he's still doing all his regular mechanics right now. No auto attacks, so that's like the tank buster going on right now. So you still have to call those out and dodge them, and they're still random as well. So those big orbs, you can like Storm's Path them, you can virus them to reduce the amount of damage they take. So it's kind of nice. You always want to stun one and slow one so that they stagger, because otherwise they'll hit at the same time. Here's me getting paralyzed. I thought I could get through it, but I couldn't. The healer's really good and dispel me quickly, so it's nice.
Okay.
So, and then that's pretty much how these mechanics work. And you can see like communication is important, very similar to A3S. Call out what's happening, and then once all the orbs are dealt with, you go to the next boss, Swindler, the troll boss.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty hard, and again, also magic auto attacks on this one. Most mechanics are very similar to normal mode. They're just very punishing if you screw them up. So the height is one of the most obvious ones that you see, and as well as I can't remember what the mechanic's called, but the spinning rings.
Enumeration.
What's it called?
Enumeration.
Enumeration, yeah. So there's like 3 on this one, and like I can't see, it's like 4 on the other one. It always targets a healer and a tank, so we have the group split in 4, the groups of 4. Melee and tanks are obviously close, and healers and ranged are obviously just a little bit further out. I always memorize height as purple is low and red is high. So if you didn't know how height worked,
yeah.
I mean, we AoE these guys. Well, we actually stopped AoEing them. We just AoE them down with. Sorry, we stopped limit breaking them. We just AoE them now. At this point, actually, we have a good group for AoE. So, but limit break's pretty good when you're still kind of learning the fight to just get through that mechanic. So there's again some heights happening. Then you have to do enumeration again. We make it so that when it's 3, like we always make it so both healers, both tanks are always in it, because it can only be 2, 3, or 4. But yeah, we make our most mobile melee DPS and mobile range do the 3, and then it's just everyone who's responsible for that to do the 4. So at this point, the gunners spawn. Just kind of split up your damage. We have like healers and tanks doing the one in the front. They're in like all 4 corners. Both melee DPS have their own, and both range have their own, and then range kind of help out as needed. Then you have like right after the gunners, you have enumeration and height at the same time. Okay. And the platforms kind of troll you a bit. They move around a bit more on Savage mode, so you'll notice them shift and then kind of alternate or go into a different pattern that you weren't expecting. So you have to really watch them and be careful with them. And one thing I kind of missed too is that in that other ad phase, it's the same ads from A6 from A2S. So there's like a hard helmet and a hard mine, so they need to be stunned and dealt with very quickly, or else they put up those buffs again. All right, Vortexer. This one's a little bit easier to explain, I think, because he repeats twice. So, okay. Nothing really going on at the start. This guy's physical auto attacks puts up a slashing resistance down, so we just kind of we do one swap at 1, and then after that it's every 2 we swap, and he hits pretty hard when you get to 2. So elemental jammer, we get 2 debuffs that go out, but I'll explain those after. So what happens first is we all stack up in front for the little lava beams to happen. Then we have like a predetermined spread out pattern for the fire beams that happen afterwards, so that you don't clip each other. We always have the tanks run to A because it deals with this water spout. So you can see me moving out because the person who has the lightning debuff, you only want 2 people getting hit by lightning because every target that gets hit by it increases the amount of damage that it deals. So we just have the 2 people stand there. The rest of their group does the water. We just leave 1 melee DPS out of it to try and increase their damage a bit. Now that water spout tethers to someone and hits them and knocks them back. And it's pretty nasty if you're too close to it. That's why you have to drop ice so far away from it. And the ice expands and freezes the pool. These fire beams can burn the ice, but they also burn the water. If the water stays up too long, it explodes and wipes the group. This next mechanic is the knockback. So we want everyone who has water resistance down doing the lightning, and everyone who has lightning resistance down doing the water. When there's more people in the water stack, it makes it do a lot less damage. So this is something you should never do: is don't put the boss in the hitbox of the ice block. This is like probably 8th time we saw this guy. We got lucky, but don't do that. And then the phase repeats at this point. Bring it back to the center, and everything's the exact same as it was before. I'm making a lot of errors here.
Yeah, I like the positioning you guys do. It's a lot more efficient than the ones we do. Because it was bugged while we were learning it.
Yeah, exactly.
And we were convinced it was because you couldn't have the tanks involved in the past at all. That's how we weren't getting it because of that. So
yeah, when we got to it, we were allowed to use tanks, so we started. So you see, I have the lightning debuff now, so I stay in, and the monk moves out now. Does what I was doing before.
Yeah, that's pretty clever. I like that.
Now I have lightning resistance down and the ice, so you can kind of see how this goes. So you have to make sure you don't get too close to that water pool, or else it tethers to you, and it's pretty bad. It usually causes a wipe if you have a debuff. So yeah, I have a lightning resistance down, so I can't be anywhere near the middle. I have to do the water now, and the whoever has the water resistance down can't touch the water, so they do the lightning from now on. Yeah, and then this is kind of just repeating at this point. I'm sure I missed a couple of things, but yeah.
That's all right.
Don't burn the ice with the fire beam. And also, you notice I move out of melee range a little bit there, just so that I'm not too close to the other 2 people doing fire beams.
Okay. So, I mean, this looks a little bit harder than normal mode, not too much.
Yeah, it's a coordination check.
Yeah.
It looks harder than it actually is, for sure. But also, you don't get much practice on it.
Would you say that A6 is harder mechanically than A5, or are they kind of on the same level?
Oh no, A5 is easier than most fights that we've got in this entire tier. Including it's the easiest fight in comparison to A1S and A2S, I think.
They do a good scaling of the difficulty between each fight.
Yeah, A6S is a little bit is more just about mechanics, and again, still the DPS check's not too bad. But we're close on this one, but that's we had the death at the start, and you can see I just don't have a lot of practice on Vortexer yet.
Okay, look at that happy face. Look at that.
Did it.
That smile. He's like, yeah, done it. All right.
But yeah, now get some Balana video in there. It's too much of my video.
All right.
Yeah, Balana, are you excited, man?
I'm looking forward to it. Do you want just summoner perspective or me to explain the whole damn fight?
You know what? Explain whatever you feel like you should be talking about. Talk about it. If you hit a point where I don't know what to say, just be and just keep that going until you have to say something else.
You got it. I'll pick up your ums.
Okay.
Been dropping those lately, so
I've been pretty good throughout the most of the episode, right? Or did I do it? All right. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's go.
All right, so pre-poll, 10-second countdown. I'm casting Shadow Flare at 6 and then Bio 2 at 3 to do a bit of a standard opener for this one. Nothing too crazy going on. Right at the poll here, the first thing that's going to come out is going to be a purple marker on one person, and he's going to shoot a beam at them. He's going to leave a dot afterwards. Oh, no, he does these things first. He drops circles on 2 random targets twice, and you just need to move out of that shit. Getting hit by that's bad. So purple marker comes out, sizzle beam is what it's called. It hits a random person. It's going to do a beam. Anybody who gets hit by that gets a dot. It hits pretty hard. It's throughout the entire fight. It's a purple beam. It's bad. So
Okay, good.
now he's going to do Sizzle Spark, which is a AoE onto everybody. It gives them a lightning resistance down, and which will interact with that beam before because that's lightning damage as well. So we get bombs. We do this kind of a dumb way. I lose about 2 GCDs doing this, but I run out. We have healers go to the north corners, range go to the south corners, and then the melees and tanks spread out around the center circle here. You can bait the bombs onto the spikes and then neutralize them that way. So you can have more people stacked in the middle. You can leave the healers in the middle if you have them bait their bombs out there. You even move them on the spikes before it drops because it doesn't do any initial damage, and the spikes only give you vulnerability down. But anyway, we're moving on to the first quarantine phase. One person's going to get marked with a bomb. It's going to be depending on the mechanics that are coming out on who gets that one. So this one is purple-red, so I'm going in there. I get the prey. I get picked up. Before I go in, I try to do Rouse Spur and then Dreadworm Trance so I can get in here because Gerudo is still going to be able to attack, but I can't do anything in here. While I'm in here, it's like the second boss in World of Darkness where you get that Fire Down debuff. And if you do anything, any sort of animation you're doing, you're going to take damage. So I come in here, try Disaster, Death Flare, and then nothing.
Yep.
Wait. But Gerudo's still punching it, so that's why I try to
just
get
from
that
doing
Rouse
that,
Spur.
right?
Yeah, I lose half my health from that, but I have regen, I have circle, and I get an Adlo going in there, so I get hooked up by the healers just so I can get this thing down faster. Once the padlock is down, I can start attacking.
You look very impatient, like you're just running over there.
So once I'm out of there, there's another mechanic that's going on during that. There's a second box. That one was purple. You need to put a DPS in there and just burn that ad down because you get throttle on you. If you don't burn it in time, you die. Any death in this fight puts a stack on the boss. I don't know exactly what it is. It's more crit, more damage. It's basically a FU stack for every single person that dies. So anybody who dies, it's doable with 1 stack. 2 stacks, he's just going to start killing you. So now the second set of quarantines, somebody else is going to get bombed. If the person gets bombed, they cannot go do this mechanic because they're going to take some damage going in, and the bomb gives you vulnerability down. So you have a healer one, and we have a tank one. The healer one, they just need to stand on a vent and not die. The vent, if you don't stand on it, does poison damage to everybody in the raid. In the intermission, there's these pointless ads that if you don't kill them in time, they blow up and wipe you, but they're not non-issue. So during all this, I'm trying to save as many cooldowns as I can for the actual boss because that's the damage that matters. Gerudo's really dumb. She's actually attacking something she can't hit right now. So I got to tell her to go back onto this. Comes down, we blow foes. I get Try Disaster, dot him up, this and that. For the tank one, it's the blue one. He's doing more Sizzle Sparks and things right here. But the tank went into a blue one. There's an ad in there that you can just line of sight his attacks, so you just need to go back and forth in between them. So now we're into the pussy and ball phase, where the cat comes out and Indiana Jones music starts playing. And you got to run away. You got to dodge these balls while the cat's going to say meow right here and then shoot a heart. It was in normal mode. And if it reaches the boss, he gets 4 stacks from it, and it's basically a wipe. So you can stun it, you can slow it, you can do whatever you want to it. I just go Dreadworm Trance, pound it with Ruin 3, kills it pretty quick. You're also going to get a little bit different rotation. There's some RNG involved in that which quarantines you're going to get in the first phase, so you can't completely plan everything exactly the same. But what comes out here is the red marker goes onto one of the healers, and it's going to do a big flamethrower onto them. Anybody who gets by that is going to get Searing Wind from Ifrit Extreme. So it does big explosion around them. So we have them move towards the center. We know the center is where the flamethrower is going to go. It's going to hit the healer. A purple one comes out here. We throw them to the wall, so we know that's where the purple blast is going. So you have the flames going off over there. You have the balls going around. You have the heart coming out from the cat, and you have that laser coming out all at the same time right there. So you got to plan around all that. Start moving it back into the middle here, and the balls go away right now.
That's a little risky.
And so one of the range gets targets for this bomb here. These quarantines are it's purple and blue, so it's basically a melee and a tank mechanic. We have our Dragoon go in there and take him out. What limits you on who can go in there is who gets hit by the bomb, but there's a trick you could do with Ninja or Dragoon where they use Elusive Jump or Shikuchi right before the bomb goes off, and you can dodge the damage from that, and they can just always handle that mechanic. More ads that you just take care of, do the quarantines same as before, and we're back into this. I'm forgetting a mechanic. That's what the tanks have to deal with. It's called Uplander Doom, where he does a bunch of hits on them. I can't remember exactly all the times they happen, but it's typically in between quarantines. And it's a tank swap, basically, because he's going to put stacks on them, and you have to swap after so many stacks. So more Sizzle Beam, more Sizzle Spark. And then we're going to go into another quarantine phase here, where this one's going to be red and green. It's the Christmas colors one. It's a healer and DPS. Healer and caster. This is their hey, you need to bring a caster to this tier mechanic. Is that when I go into the jail here, the mob you have to kill in there has physical vulnerability down. So I get lucky, I get the tether on me right here. The tether is going to come out, is going to pull you in about the same time that the boss reaches the center. So I pop Dreadroom Trance just to have it up while I'm in here, because if I use Dreadroom Trance while I'm in there, it's got triggers an animation, and I take about 3 to 4 ticks from using it in there. So try to have it up before I'm in there. The animations on Try Disaster and Death Flare are both relatively short, so I take not a whole lot of stacks from that, and I can do a lot of damage to this thing. And see, the padlock's down because my guys are being ballers this time, and the engine oil is already really low. So kill it up, get out of there, we're good to go. Whenever you're running on the spikes, you take a dot. The dot doesn't really matter. What really matters is the vulnerability up. If you get hit by anything with that vulnerability up, you're toast, you're done. So you want to minimize the amount of time in your spikes, but you don't need to just like, you can't be afraid of it as long as you're not there for Sizzle Spark. See, the healer was over there in the other corner. He waited for Sizzle Spark. That damage went out. He ran over. So that's why he's not getting hit while he has the vulnerability up. We get LB3 here. We blow it right then. I think this 3 minutes cooldowns are coming up for the second time here. So I'm trying to stack some things up though. See, I have Raging up, but I'm sitting on it like a noob. But I'm waiting for... There's bombs that come out here, and if I blow everything right now, then I'm not going to be able to get all my casts off during it. So here comes the bombs. It's the same as bombs at the beginning, where you have everybody in the raid gets one. So I'm running back to my spot over here, and then we come back, and I'm going to blow Raging Strikes, Dreadroom Trance, Potion, throw everything at him. This is a good little bit of burn phase right here. There's not too many mechanics going on other than just lasers. Oh, and that laser right there during the bombs is really scary because you have 2 stacks. So the dot from that bomb is going to be, it snapshots whatever you have on you. So you have blood for blood up. If you have those vulnerability stacks, it's going to do more. But you can also mitigate it through using virus and apocastasis. And the reason why that one's so scary is because you have to run away with the bomb, you get hit with the bomb damage, and then the dot tick, and then you can hopefully get back and get healed. So it's a bit of a scary place. We had a few wipes there. Now next mechanic's coming out, so I start moving over early because I'm ranged and I get to laugh at all the melee. It's another Uplander Dooms going on right here. So we used, I think, Hollow, and I don't know if we cover here or not, but we have Hollow, so we don't have to worry about those with stacks too many times. Another Flamethrower comes out onto one of the healers, so he's going to get Searing Wind from Ifrit. So he's out of the party here, but everybody else, we're going to the merry ground. We're setting up over here. And remember those circles at the beginning? It's those circles again. But the thing is, the center of the arena is completely electrified right now. So you have to be on one of these little like squares around the side and running around. And he does a Sizzle Spark. So you can't be standing on the spikes during that. And then we're going around. We're doing another lap. And around this point, the fire is running off the healer, and they're running back in. I think he just got there right in time for that Sizzle Spark. So now we're all stacked up in here because he's going to start Sizzle Spark, Sizzle Spark, Sizzle Spark quite a few times in a row. I think it's 2 here, and then he does a purple beam, and then it's 2 or 3 more. And each one time, see, I'm getting that purple stack, the debuff in the top right. I have 2 stacks of that. It doesn't go above 2, which thankfully, because that really hurts once you start getting more. So we need everybody in here to get that heals. We have another purple marks coming out here. It's going to be a really painful one. If he has a stack right now, you need a virus this, or else the person's going to die. But it hits him. We have it shielded up. We're fine. He doesn't have any stacks. And then it's going to go Sizzle Spark again. So this is a bit more of a burn phase. Just stack up with some AoE healing, lay into this guy. We keep him in the corner here. Because coming up is another Pussy and Ball phase where Indiana Jones music starts playing. And we're going into it right here. We get another fire. This time's a little bit different. It's going to get 2 fires during the same time as the 2 hearts. So the first fire goes out, and it's onto our white mage, so he's running out. Cat comes up, starts casting. While the steering winds are going off back there, we're dodging the balls, and you need to really burn this thing down, because if it reaches them, it's a wipe. So we're blowing some cooldowns on this. We're getting into it. And then the third ball drops. In the first phase, there's only 2 balls, but halfway through this one, a third one will come down, and it could be like right on top of you, and I think I get hit by it on this one. I just contagioned without all my dots up. That was really bad. So Sizzle Spark, another purple marker goes to the wall, red marker goes to the center, and see there's the 3 balls in there, and they're all inside of each other, and it's a complete mess. And now I'm just staring at the balls this whole time because that's also where the heart is. Yeah. And so you can slow this heart, so I'm hitting it where the heart is. So I'm hitting it with Miasma right away to get the heavy, slow it down, but there's me being an idiot and almost dying. Yeah, yay for Vite Melds right there. Yeah, so Sizzle Spark. He's going to do a few more of these. You need to make sure that you're not standing, on the spikes when these Sizzle Sparks are coming out. So we're pulling them back to the center, moving into the last quarantine phase. We're at a good amount of damage right here. We're at a good clip, so we don't have to worry too much about our DPS. Another bomb's coming out. It's on our monk, so we don't have to worry too much about it. Our dragoon's just going to go handle a mechanic. I accidentally was standing close to our bard there. We accidentally swapped. There's a little confusion, but we ended up getting the prey to where it needs to go. And then there's more, inconsequential ads here. They just need to die. If they don't die, they blow up and kill everybody. So yeah, and it's a healer and melee for this one, I believe. Once again, melee just need to kill it before the throttle runs off. These Sturm Dolls, the big ones, the one thing you need to know about is they do a cast that'll paralyze everybody, so you need to interrupt them. That's all there is with them. So we kill that thing off, we get back onto the boss, and then there's one more quarantine phase that's coming up here, which is red and blue, so it's caster and tank. And he just did a fancy little flip to get back. Good for him. So yeah, I'm just laying into the boss here. I'm waiting for Tri-Disaster to come up because during this last one, I don't want to do anything. Typically, I'm saving Tri-Disaster for each one of these quarantines, but because we do get a Sizzle Spark, we get the raid AoE going out while I'm in there, any extra damage is just basically going to kill me. Like, you'll see, I get out of this with, like, basically nothing. So I'm going to walk in there. I just have Garuda helping me beat it a little bit. But it's also a little bit tricky here because you need to balance between killing those ads in the center and killing the padlock because if they wait too long, this thing's just hitting on me. It's going to hit me for 1,000, and after 20 seconds, I think it's 20 seconds. No, it's 30. 30, it'll eat you. It eats you, it heals 20%, and you take like 15k damage? I don't know, it's bad news. So we blow up this padlock, and that allows me to start blowing things because I need to get out of here ASAP because I didn't have that Tri-Disaster up, so I'm just blowing all my stacks, go in Ruin 3, right into Dreadroom Trance, and looks like we just LB'd the boss again because he's almost dead. So we're like, oh, we're not going to get 3, so we might as well just use it right now, and this is a good time. And he just starts casting Sizzle Spark until Enrage. This is just AoE damage going out on the raid, ride it through, and then he'll start doing his Enrage cast, but I think we kill him before that.
Oh, yeah, nice. You're pretty far from the Enrage here.
Yeah.
There's another set of all bombs before the Enrage. Everyone gets the bombs at the same time.
Pretty awesome,
it's
man.
At like 12:30.
Yeah, so that's A7.
That was really good. That was like you were seriously doing a sportscaster talk there. That was awesome, man. And so good job on that. You guys definitely deserve that clear, man. So I wanted to go through those really fast just to see kind of how that would turn out as compared to our hour and a half talk on A5S. And probably hard to grasp a lot of things that were said.
It's talking a little fast. There's a lot to cram in the 12 minutes.
Yeah, but helpful for people who knew you're talking about already. So at least we got that, right? Like if people were working, everything you were saying was making sense to us, and we're actively working on the fight right now. So there's some stuff we could maybe pick out of that, right? But so I'm sure other people are in the same boat. Hopefully the same for A6S, though I did miss some stuff in that. I know I did, but
right.
Like I don't have a good knowledge of like what the tanks are doing at any given moment in that fight because it's not my department. I just know that there's things that they're doing and they're swapping, and so.
Right. Yeah, there's a couple of small things, of course, there too. But yeah, it'll give you something.
Yeah, and I mean, I think overall, I don't know. How do you think this whole concept that we just did worked out? We don't have like any time for anything else. Luckily, we don't have any viewer videos to kind of put on here. I don't think anyone had.
I liked how slow we went through A5S and gave commentary. I'll be interested to see what people think of it afterwards.
But if someone's wanting to learn A5S, they're probably not going to watch an hour and a half video. They might put it in the background and be like, "Oh, well, let's do this whole thing on the side."
Yeah, but you might be right about that. I am curious. Like we did dissect it, give alternatives and experiences that maybe other groups are having, and
it was a good detailed breakdown. I think of how that group specifically handled the mechanics. It reminded me a lot of Mr. Happy's 40-minute turn 5 guide.
Back.
Oh yeah, we kind of outdid him there. I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, I think we did talk about a lot of what other groups were doing and stuff. It just didn't show it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think I enjoyed going through these videos. That was kind of fun to do, and I don't know if the viewers enjoyed us going through the videos or not. Maybe some people were like, "Oh, this is boring because I already beat it." But
I'm curious. Because it was a really good opportunity to just kind of describe our experiences with those mechanics. Yeah. And again, people might have similar experiences, right? Yeah. And be like, oh yeah, we had that problem at one point too. I guess that's just kind of normal between groups or something.
Yeah, I want to do it more in the future now. I think I'm going to probably start trying to do this more often because this was a lot of fun. And I didn't think Hangouts was going to work as well as it did. And it worked out pretty well.
It was pretty good for the pause and play. We just need something to be able to do the John Madden, drawing on top of it.
Yeah, I know.
The scholar over here. He needs to be repositioned up here, and he's going to leave the spart open.
Yeah. And so I know they have some sort of tools in Hangouts to actually do that, right? I don't know if it's for the videos. I know there's just interactive drawing that you can do. I just don't know if there's actually where you can do it on the videos themselves. That would be awesome, though.
Yeah.
I would love to do that. And so I don't know. Maybe this MogTalk will turn into kind of a video showcase of stuff, and I need to set up a screen for it.
Well, here and there, yeah, when it's not just pure discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's not
I mean, like,
exactly.
if I bring on people to talk about rotations, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
I want to have a video up for it.
And then, it's always fun bringing people in, especially like during this first set of patches, or this first part of the patch, like in 3.2, when people are still getting into Savage and everything, and trying to learn the fights, and maybe some people out there having a hard time on them. If anyone's having a hard time on A5, they should know everything about A5 by now. Except for if like something's mad, if it's pure damage or not pure damage, because of course.
And there's also like, sorry, I was talking about like rotations, but I mean like, sometimes rotations don't change too much for certain classes, but like you can bring people on and then they can show clips of like how you do this part of the fight in a video. Like we got a really good breakdown on Summoner on A7S there, right? Mm-hmm. Like melee is a very different experience on A7S as well. Like there's to deal with your uptime on the bombs and when you spawn the bombs, like where to spawn stuff. So it's like there's a lot of like tips that you can give by showing it through videos too.
Yeah, I think so too.
So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
Balana, good job there, man. You're now the official shoutcaster. And as soon as we can do spectator mode with PvP, maybe you'll go. Have you done a lot of PvP recently, Balana?
No, I've like not touched it since like the first day.
Well, I mean, it's kind of different when you're streaming and you're actively doing the stuff, because you can't really go into detail and explain it. Like when you're raiding, you're not explaining much at all. You're raid face, right?
I have tried to do the stream of consciousness, like explain exactly everything that I'm doing, and it's okay. It's supposed to just
works
be mumbling
sometimes.
like, oh fuck, oh shit. Okay, no, I'm good here. Okay, I got Dreadham Translate. I didn't lose my stack. Oh shit, I lost my stack. Oh no. Okay, here we go.
And then when you wipe the raid because of it, your group is like, man, you gotta stop. I can't do this anymore. And so like I have to be careful too, because I don't want my streaming to affect the raid night. I don't want it to be like a bad night because of it.
On our that A6S kill that we were just watching, right around the point that I think we get to Swindler, I'm talking to the stream chat about, Elysium's like 3%. We got to 3% on A8S. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Like, really cool to hear. So there's like a break between the poll, and I'm like reading chat.
Right. Yeah, there's several spots, but if I look away for a second and I lose a mechanic,
I should do that.
Yeah. And then we're like, where do we go? And then we just, I think we figure it out like in the last second. And this is where Kerr dies. All right, so Kerr died there. I lost her stacks. So yeah, this was good. I appreciate you guys coming on for this. And I'm sorry we didn't go too much into detail of A6S and A7S. Just we don't have time to do it.
Yeah, that would be even longer than A5, I think.
Oh yeah.
You could do an individual show on each one, and you could have the A8 one be like 6 hours long. That'd be great.
The next one we could do is the
A6S.
Yeah, A6S. We could do A6S. I just don't know exactly when we can do it. Maybe after I clear it. I don't know.
It's not a bad idea. Like then you can give your own experiences on it, right?
Yeah,
like,
I literally cleared this. This is a
the
video
more
from less than
relevant
24 hours ago. This was from 16 hours ago, maybe.
Just do the decompression episode so you can think about what you've done.
Yeah, exactly.
And
think about what you have done.
Like people come into the tier late. Like there's not everyone who's just gets into it right as the patch comes out. So it's always good information.
So I was before we start doing the clear like this night here. I was going through, about to do the fight, and then I looked at this guy and I was like, man, I remember this guy just being horrible. I've never had any good experience with this one player. And then I looked him up on FF Logs, and he cleared this 3 times already. And I just thought to myself, how can I not clear this? If this guy has cleared it. It kind of inspired me a little bit. But, all right, well, there's a little bit more that we have that we could discuss, but I think we're going to hold off on it for now. I think that this show is pretty good for what we've done so far on it. Before we leave, of course, I want to make sure that we do shout-outs to both you and Balana and you, Ark. Balana, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been excellent to have you on here, and I'm excited to know that you're going to be starting to stream more often now, too, with A8S and everything, right?
I'll probably be streaming tonight. We missed a few nights this week, so we still need to clear 7 on mains and alts. And then we'll probably be going to 8, and I'll probably throw up my stream tonight. Sounds like something I'll do.
Then you guys need to go ahead and follow him so you can catch some A8. We didn't go over A8S, and you can get some of that stream of consciousness while he's doing it.
Well, I only tried that on fights that I already had down. I was doing it on 3 and 4. Somebody in my chat, somebody I used to raid with, was like, "What's going on in this fight?" I'm like, "All right, we try to lay it down for you."
That's a good point.
This and that, and
after you clear it, you can totally do it. But while you're trying to clear it, there's no way.
I need to focus a bit there and blast some Dragon Ball Z music.
Is there any shout-outs you want to do to anyone? Same thing as last week? What are we looking at?
Shout out to Elysium. Shout out to Goka for all the help he's given us. Shout out to all the members of Team Tempest. You guys are pretty great. You guys are pretty good. I like y'all. And yeah, that's everybody else who I shouted out before. Same thing.
You watch the episode from last week if you need to know.
Yeah.
Ark, thank you again for coming on. It was excellent to have you on here again. You always have tons to say. Like, Ark, I could probably have a show and just walk away from like the computer and say, Ark, talk about this. And when I get back 2 hours later, the show's over. And
there might be some stress on me there, though, at some point.
Yeah, I probably could do that. But thank you for coming on again. And I really appreciate you coming on with your commentary and everything else. And is there any shout-outs you want to do, Ark, again? Same as usual?
The same again. Shout out to Diablo's server and Free Company Kings as well for like supporting our raid group and helping us with some crafted gear and stuff like that. And everyone from my raid group who came by to watch, and everyone in my raid group who let me like show the video of where maybe I'm not making as many mistakes as some of the other videos I have, and they are. So it alternates, right? So, but yeah.
Make sure you guys follow Ark here too. I have a shout out for him. Just right-click his name in chat too if you need to, and just hit the little heart, and you instantly follow him. So also, thank you everyone who showed up for the show today. It was excellent to have you guys on. This was an experimental episode that I think it went well. I'm probably gonna do it a lot more, and just need more videos. If you guys have any videos you want us to go over in the show, I would love if you guys sent those our way, and we would definitely be more than happy to go over those. We just have to get a time and format and set it up a little bit more properly, I think.
And I think it was a good idea to maybe just stick to one fight, and then we watch all our videos for that one fight. Like we could watch Balana's A6S and just got all the perspectives in there, different comps, and what we struggle on. Yeah, could probably do
get the most perfect video, and then go down and degrade into the ones where we're messing up and everything.
That's it. I mean, like, when you're going for the clear, you might be at any one of those levels, so. Usually, probably the one that's like close to 9-minute fight and stuff like that. So
all right, and also thank you to Kerr for helping out with questions and everything else in chat and moderating, making sure things stayed good and level and moral. And then also thank you for Balana for the artwork and Tari for the music that we had at the very beginning of the show. Thank you, Barbaron, for hosting right here at the very end of the show. And then also next week. Our MogTalk, again, is going to be it depends on who I will be able to get on the show for next week. I want to have either a PvP show again. That's my goal, is either PvP or World First show. If we don't, hell, we might just do the A6 show, and I'll see who wants to get on and talk about A6 during that time. And we can go into detail and discuss that if you guys want to.
Yeah, but I'll hop into your stream, and then all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, Ark, I don't have a show for tomorrow."
Yeah, it'll be like,
"What do you want to do? You want
Friday night, 9:00? Hey, I just finished raiding. I'm about to go to sleep. Can you come on the show tomorrow?" Hopefully, it'll be a lot more organized than that. I have a lot of stuff that I have worked out that I didn't have worked out earlier. So, but anyways, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We do need to send a host over to somebody. Balana and Ark, would you like to help me out with that?
I am looking.
Okay.
Are we looking for a Heavensward stream, preferably?
Heavensward stream usually is what we're going for. But I don't know who we hosted last week.
We threw it over to Sly last time.
Okay, so maybe we should give someone besides Sly a host for this week. Let's see. Who else is out there? Names that I might be familiar with. If you guys find anybody, let me know. I'm not seeing anyone right now.
The only people I'm seeing on my list doing Heavensward right now are, we got Sly, we got Frosty, this Frosty TV guy.
Yeah, Frosty's there, yeah.
And Happy, but I mean, he doesn't need the love. He's got enough.
Yeah, he's doing pretty good right now, I think.
For be weird to do to give it slice streaming at a very good time of day if MogTalk always finishes around this time.
Oh yeah, he is, isn't he? He's always like, all right, get ready, MogTalk's about to end. No, it's not like that. Let's see. All right, or we could just go to the lowest guy on a totem pole if you guys want to. Let's see. There's a whole bunch of 0 viewer people out here.
There's a good number of those.
Yeah, we got some 1 viewers. Let's see if someone has a really cool setup that we like a lot. Let's see. I don't know.
Somebody in chat said Mr. Fuji Kicker.
Mr. Fuji Kicker.
Yeah, it's got 18s. Let's throw him some love. It's
All
White
right.
Mage.
All right, White Mage. You guys, if you like healers, we'll send him a host here, and then we'll finish up the show. Let's see, Mr. Fuji Kicker, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I got that. I'm gonna send the host out right now. Thank you guys all for coming to the show. I appreciate you. I'm gonna sit here and do our awkward wave here before we end the show. Bye, guys. See you next time. Bye. All right, we switched it up.